Just a Rinnegan? That's not enough. I want the Tenseigan too. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction, so don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 226. Yuanjie is listless today, and the Minister of the DPRK looks at it. Shangshu of the Ministry of Etiquette has no eyesight, and his mouth is straightforward and fast. He handed over his hands as usual and said, Emperor Yuan, the fleet of the Flying Eagle country is heading towards Yingzhou, and it should arrive in 3 days. Yuanjie was in a bad mood, and he waved his hand. Then what are you waiting for? Martially, he quickly stopped Emperor Yuan's impulsive behavior and stepped forward to dissuade. Emperor Yuan, if it is directly sunk, I am afraid that it will cause the two countries to fight. Think twice, Yuanjie said coldly. Let me ask you, does the sea area of Yingzhou belong to the territorial waters of my Sharingan dynasty? Then what do you mean when they come in with a fleet? Yuanjie vigorously slapped the dragon chair. This is a provocation. Do you understand? To say that the war was also provoked by the Flying Eagle country, we are just legitimate defense. Marshal Li's expression froze, as if this was the truth. It's hateful. I can't change my thinking for a while, and I blame each other. I poured my blood cold from head to toe. He answered and stepped back directly. Is there anything else? The minister, you look at me, I look at you, and none of them speak. That? By the way, call Dean Li Qing over. Yuanjie just wanted to go down to the dynasty, and suddenly remembered something. Soon, Li Qing arrived at the Zhuanzhang Hall. After all, he was the third highest god, and the speed of rushing was naturally extraordinary. Li Qing walked to the 10,000 officials and saluted respectfully. See Emperor Yuan. Yuanjie smiled. Teachers don't need to be polite. Although Li Qing did not participate in the rebellion, before that, he had made a lot of suggestions, and during the school, he pointed out that there was a problem with Yuanjie's spiritual power circulation and proposed suggestions for improvement. The teacher is well deserved. Emperor Zi Yuanhuang. Li Qing's face changed slightly. He didn't expect that Yuanjie would actually call him teacher in public. Corporal Yuanjie Lixin's approach made his image shine in the minds of everyone. Teacher, I called you here today to expand the primary and secondary schools in various parts of Sharingan, as well as the matter of building a new Mortal University. Mortal University? Li Qing was stunned. Yuanjie nodded. That's right. In order to cultivate all-round talents and give more people with poor physical fitness the opportunity to recreate, I am ready to establish a Mortal University. The disciplines of Mortal Universities, mainly including politics, economics, industry and agriculture, science and technology, military, etc., are taught according to aptitude to cultivate talents, regardless of family background, and there are no classes of education, so that all people can have the opportunity to make a little contribution to Yuan. Li Qing's heart was shocked. No emperor in the past and present would do such a thankless thing. Because of mortal physique, the lifespan is extremely short, and he can only live to 120 years at most. However, any cultivator of the gradual convergence realm has a lifespan of 200 or 300 years. Therefore, in the inherent thinking, mortals should be ordinary all their lives, not to break into trouble, not to make trouble, not to cause trouble for the imperial dynasty. The best way for mortals to contribute to their country, and the only way, is to join the army. However, being a soldier is life-threatening, and I don't know which will come first, tomorrow or accident. Not to mention Li Qing, even the 100 officials in the court are dumbfounded. However, they could find no reason to refute it. Emperor Yuan, Sheng Ming, Li Qing calmed his restless mood, and he felt more and more that Yuanjie, the emperor, was really unusual. Not only is his style of acting unique, but it is not difficult to see from his reform of the 3-province 6-ministry system. Moreover, everything he did started from the people, and after taking office, he introduced many policies to benefit the people. And this time, he set his sights on mortals again. If he is not Mingjin, then there will be no Mingjin in this world. Li Qing couldn't help but lower his head. He began to regret why he didn't follow Yuanjie to overthrow the royal family represented by Xiang Maofang in the first place. Perhaps his behavior is exactly what Yuanjie mentioned in his mouth, Foolishness. Yuanjie asked Li Qing to go back and write a plan for building a school, and then announced the next dynasty. He returned to the Purple Palace, and when he passed a mirror, he was surprised to find that his reincarnation eyes had actually changed. When did you have more three-hook jade? Could it be because of last night's dream? He once again witnessed Li Tiansha's fragrant jade death, and evolved the three-hook jade after being overwhelmed with grief. Of course, this is passively promoted, not what he wants to improve. If he had the opportunity, he still hoped to save Li Tiansha in his dream. It can only be said that it will be due to chance. Yuanjie definitely didn't expect that one dream would invisibly help Yuanjie improve his strength. He sat down in his chair and clicked on the system panel. These days, he is drawing divine skills every day to recruit them all. Nearly 3 months have passed now, and his golden divine skill fragments have finally accumulated more than 1,000 when they are guaranteed 3 pieces a day. You can synthesize, optional reincarnation eye skill chest. A bright and blinding golden light flashed, and the gorgeous treasure chest came into view. Yuanjie opened it curiously and saw that there were a bunch of reincarnation eye skills that he had seen or had not seen. Reincarnation, immediately resurrect the dead. The number is not limited. This technique has a serious negative effect, and after release, self-cultivation immediately drops 1 to 3 major realms, depending on the number of resurrected reincarnation eye coercion. In an instant, it releases a 360 degrees blade-like shock wave to the surroundings with itself, and the attack power is extremely strong. Spiritual power consumption. 10%. Huanquan Hirasaka. Open a black portal out of thin air and travel freely in different spaces. Better teleportation skills than the space-time channel. Spiritual power consumption. 5%. Thousand paper crane instantaneous. The moment of being attacked, it transforms itself into several red thousand paper cranes and disappears from the enemy's eyes, and can appear anywhere at will. Spiritual energy consumption. 5%. Time backtracking. Returning oneself from the current time point to the time point 10 seconds ago can only make the time of the outside world go backwards, and cannot rewind its own time. Spiritual power consumption. 20%. Time freeze. Seal an object or creature unconsciously in the river of time. According to the existing strength, it can be sealed for 1,000 years. Spiritual power consumption. 99%. High Imperial Birth Sun God. Absorbs and captures all long-range attacks, and can increase the power to counter-attack back. Spiritual power consumption. 30%. Shayona Biguna. Instantly make anything bigger and smaller, but you can't shrink other life forms except yourself. Spiritual power consumption. According to the actual situation, Dahuiyan, you can keep the shrunken object in a different space where time is still, and you can also summon the objects in the space at any time. Spiritual power consumption. 10%. Wait a minute, Yuanjie actually found the reincarnation eye skill that never appeared in the Naruto anime? What skill is it that is the god of the god nest of the sun? Chapter 227. Divine Nest Sun God. Passive. There is a chance to completely resist absorbing the damage of the other party, and turn into spiritual power to permanently increase their own cultivation. Yuanjie. Immediately eliminate the negative state of one's own body or others, and restore to the peak period, and when released on others, it can increase the opponent's peak strength up to 5 times in a short period of time, according to the current strength. Spiritual power consumption. 80%. Heaven and Earth standing up. Heaven and Earth produce huge repulsion at the same time, suppressing all things. Skill data. Self-attack power x 50,000%. Spiritual power consumption. 90%. Note, from the myth of a certain country, the god of the high birth nest day, male, and the god birth nest day god, female, and the god of the birth nest day god, female, and the god of creation are the same as the god of creation, and the ancient god, god of life, with Yuanmoshi Asabi, the god of life, the god of the heavenly constant standing, a total of 5 gods, collectively known as other heavenly gods. When Yuanjie saw this, he was stunned. He suddenly didn't know what skill to choose. Now his cultivation is the 7th order of the Great Late Realm, and since he became the emperor, his cultivation speed has slowed down. Most importantly, he couldn't draw cultivation experience potions and multifold cultivation experience cards. Therefore, his cultivation realm has never been raised. System. Will there be new reincarnation eye skills in the future? Yes, as the host strength increases, more reincarnation eye skills will be added to the treasure chest in the future. Yuanjie nodded reassuringly. In his opinion, There is white eye coercion, there is no need to choose reincarnation eye coercion, and the percentage of this skill is similar to the Earth explosion star. The consumption is also similar, the only difference is the time when the damage is hit. The technique of reincarnation, so far, is useless, and the cost is too great. Resurrection wants the lowest drop a big realm, that is, he is now the Eye of Reincarnation and is about to return to the eternal kaleidoscope. Who can withstand this? Secondly, Huangquan does not consider it, although the release speed of the time and space channel is slow, but he is really not bad at this time. You say it can be used in battle? Forget it, now he is invincible, the only one who can beat him fat is Yuanjie, the other is Su Su, all teammates. As for Pu's other 3 skills, at present, for Yuanjie, compared to other skills, it is a bit chicken. The 2 tricks of the High Royal Birth Sun God and the young name Biguna are good and can be considered. The Great Black Sky. He has Shinwei space, and these 2 skills collide. Regarding the 3 newly emerged reincarnation eye skills, they are all excellent. The God-Nest Sun God is a passive skill, there is a chance to be invincible, and absorb the enemy's attack and turn it into cultivation. This skill is really fantastic. For Yuanjie, who is currently eager to upgrade, as long as he is beaten, he can upgrade. Eumazius is an auxiliary skill, the only drawback is that it cannot increase its own strength, and can only help others add buff. Yuanjie didn't know what to say for a while, anyway, he was very speechless. The skill percentage of Cheyenne Si Changli is really excellent, actually as high as 50,000%. You know, his strongest killing move today is the Heavenly Barrier Shock Star, which can cause up to 30,000% damage. However, there is a disadvantage of the Sky Barrier Shock, that is, the damage formation is segmented. And the sky is always standing. Look at the skill description. 1 is a single stage damage skill, similar to the DNF Sword Emperor's 3 cents big move like clouds out of the moon, wind and quiet night. Do not give the other party time to react at all, directly kill in seconds. Strong is strong, but the consumption is too large, and it is Yangwei when used. Again, no one can force him to use a big move now. After much deliberation, Yuanjie finally chose to learn the God-Nest Sun God. What he needs most at present is cultivation. There is a flying thunder god to escape, a divine power to save his life, and a large-scale killing move such as Amaterasu, Susano, Earth Explosion Celestial Star, Celestial Obstruction Shock Star, White Eye Coercion and so on. There are a lot of attack moves, since he can have a skill that can be cultivated, even if it is only a 1% probability, it is worth gambling on him. After Yuanjie learned, he suddenly found that this skill could actually be strengthened. He spent millions of gold spirit coins to strengthen it to the full level of 10, but unfortunately, he couldn't see the probability. He now has no idea what the odds of this passive trigger are. Whether the absorption damage is single segment or multi-segment, whether it is absorbed by segments or by seconds. All this remains to be verified. On the other side, the sea area of Win's How. Admiral Mike, even if Yuan wins the territorial waters of the continent ahead. The soldier spied with a telescope. Mikwi sneered, territorial waters, when did Ying's How belong to Cheyenne? When did the soldiers below hear it? They laughed. They all understand that on the surface, none of all countries has come out to deny the legitimacy of Win's How's independent entrepreneurship, but secretly, they do not think that Win's How is Cheyenne. It's all a bunch of old foxes, some things should be said or not, but behind the scenes they are doing another set. Keep going. We Flying Eagle Country are Blue Star Police, protecting the human rights of the people of Win's How, is the mission of Flying Eagle, towards freedom. In the vast sea, I didn't even see a bird today, and my eyes were full of dark clouds. Admiral Mike, I feel a little strange, why did we come in with a fleet, and no one on Cheyenne's side saw it? Mikwi said disdainfully, is there a possibility? Ha ha ha. In the command room, there was another burst of cheerful laughter. The fleet of the Flying Eagle Country traveled for a day and a night, and in front of them was Win Island with a distance of only 300 nautical miles, and it was about to land. At this time, the battleship driving in the front was squeezed and deformed by an inexplicable repulsion. Be careful, there is an enemy attack, the entire Flying Eagle fleet was waiting for them. They saw a cyan figure in the sky. What are you doing standing silly? To fire a cannon means to use force. Huang Fuki was in the dark, secretly shooting in the live broadcast room. What the hell, these Flying Eagles actually dare to enter our Cheyenne's territorial waters, and also take the initiative to attack, how arrogant, I'm really angry. Look at it, there's a person in the air in front of the fleet. Oh my god. That's the Imperial robe. Could it be that the Yuan Emperor personally made a move? The audience in the live broadcast room is watching the show one by two. Due to the good title of the live broadcast room, a large number of people soon poured in. Without permission, trespass on my Sharingan territorial sea, behead. A cannonball came towards him. Yuanjie just raised his hand slightly, and the cannonball automatically flew in front of him and was caught by him. He grabbed the shell and threw it at the fleet. Bang! In the other way, and cure his body. Chapter 228. The soldiers of the Flying Eagle country were all dumbfounded. What was the situation? Can it still be played like this? Is this the shell they fired? Big, master of the Great Lake Realm, Mikvas looked solemn. He walked out of the command room and took off into the air. As a national general, his own strength is definitely strong. When he was a soldier, because of his outstanding battle achievements, he received a reward from above and was injected with a strengthening potion. Strictly speaking, he is no longer a human, but an artificially modified Superman. He possesses extraordinary speed and great strength, as well as an incomparably strong physical body. Emperor Sharingan, what are you doing? Are you trying to declare war on our Flying Eagle country? Yuanjie laughed. Is this the face of the Flying Eagle? Obviously you started first, but now you want to frame us for taking the initiative to provoke a war. Where did you get the face to say this? The Flying Eagle country has developed rapidly in the past 1,000 years, and its national strength has actually almost caught up with the previous dynasty. It's just that Zhang Maofang doesn't know. He didn't take the necessary suppression measures against the Flying Eagle country. Mikvas kept his face composed, and he saw Yuanjie beside him, where a woman was holding a video camera and recording all the time. With a sound of rubbing, he teleported to Huang Fuqiu's body, trying to kill this woman with one punch. No matter how bad it was, he couldn't let her continue shooting. Unexpectedly, he obviously saw the punch that Huang Fuqiu seriously throw, and I don't know when, there was a change of person in front of his face, and his attack was blocked. Yuanjie smiled and said, "Your opponent is me." Huang Fuqiu was transferred to a distant place by the power of Heaven's hand, and she patted her chest with palpitations, causing a huge wave. "It's too dangerous here, let's go back and control the drone Liv." She didn't even want to run away. Mikvas saw her go, and instead of chasing deeply, he looked at the young man in the dragon robe. Mikvas was also seeing the legendary Yuan Emperor for the first time. The person who can sit on the throne at this age must be someone in the family. How can he be alone? But those strange purple eyes made his heart cold. At this point, he could only go all out to face this mysterious Yuan Emperor. Without saying a word, Mikvas directly punched Yuanjie. Yuanjie subconsciously opened the first stage of Susanoo, but when he thought that he didn't plan to be beaten to improve his strength, he turned off Susanoo and blocked the punch with his flesh. Bang! Yuanjie was knocked down by a punch and Shinhei, and the audience in the live broadcast room tightened, wouldn't it? It seems that this so-called Sharingan Emperor is just a soft persimmon, laughing at me. However, for his sake of being handsome, I hope Admiral Mike will not beat him up too badly. You won't be foolish, right? How can their Sharingan men be as strong as our Flying Eagles? Only the men of the Flying Eagles are real men. Suddenly, a figure flew out of the calm sea. Mikvas continued to punch away, and this time, his eyes widened. If he is playing a game, he will definitely see his attack miss, and he will not do any damage at all. Yuanjie was overjoyed, and the probability of 1 in 2 was invincible, and it was not low. He obviously felt that his cultivation had improved a little. Come on, baby. Mikvas heard the other party actually speak their language, and it was sarcastic, which was extremely harsh. So he continued to hit Yuanjie mercilessly with punches and kicks. Yuanjie opened the 6 modes and immortal arts, as well as the 8 doors of Dunjia technique, and his body was extremely resistant to beatings. I saw Mikvas kick towards Yuanjie with a raised leg, which was blocked by Yuanjie with his hand. Miss. Good guy, another invincible. Mikvas saw that the other party had not fought back, but was passively resisting his attack, and couldn't help but be angry. This is a performance of looking down on him. He angrily tore open his clothes, revealing his strong upper body, and his muscles were very shapely. Ah, fuck, he roared and flew over, punching dozens of punches in a second. Yuanjie Mo counted the attacks that were passively resisted by the God-nest Sun God. Just now the other party punched 30 punches, only missed 6 times, that is, a 1 in 5 probability. Not bad. The probability is quite high. But one thing I don't understand, that is, there are 4 punches that are missed continuously. It seems that this invincibility is an independently calculated probability, not a unified probability. Thinking of this, Yuanjie narrowed his eyes. He was no longer actively beaten, he was going to start fighting back. Yuanjie slammed a punch on the opponent's chest, turning his fist into a palm. Reincarnation explosion, a dazzling laser shot out from his palm. The laser blasted Mikvas into the distance, he smashed heavily on a battleship, he found the force point, and a turn avoided the laser attack. However, the hull was not so lucky, and the battleship was shot through by the laser at the same time, and hit the room where the fuel was stocked. Boom, there was a violent explosion on the battleship, which ignited a raging fire. Countless Flying Eagle soldiers jumped off the ship in fright to escape for their lives, and many soldiers who did not have time to run were killed in the fire. At this time, they woke up like a dream. Onlookers are risky, and you need to be cautious when watching the play. In addition to the 2 destroyed warships, the remaining 13 warships quickly turned around and ran. Yuanjie turned on Susanoo and sneered, "Want to run? Have you asked me?" A golden giant with a height of thousands of meters suddenly stood in this world, frightening the Flying Eagle soldiers. They can't wait to have rockets strapped to them. How fast and fast. The audience in the live broadcast room of the Huangfu family saw the iconic golden giant again, who was slashing towards the fleet of the Flying Eagle country with a sword. It was really a delight to watch. Cool, comfortable. The live broadcast room brushed the barrage of comfortable, and after the super tube of the Huangfu family's live broadcast platform was discovered, they temporarily added a comfortable emoji gift. Only 1 silver spirit coin, conscientious price. The entire live broadcast room was occupied by the funny panda incense emoji. Countless viewers brushed up, comfortable. Yuanjie drove Susanoo, 1 battleship with 1 knife. 10 seconds was not enough, it was almost destroyed. At this time, Mikvas flew up in embarrassment, his chest was red, but it seemed that he was not harmed. It seems that your flesh body is quite hard, right? Genji simply turned off Susanoo, using giants to fight each other as if he was bullying children. Moreover, he couldn't be beaten and upgraded. The 2 began to engage in fierce hand-to-hand combat again. After nearly half an hour, Mikvas breathlessly exhaled on the side, while Yuanjie was still radiant. Yuanjie squinted his eyes, looked at him with disdain, and opened his mouth to mock. Can you do it? Fine dog. Chapter 229. Mikvas's words were undoubtedly a blow to his sore spot. He screamed at Fark and rushed towards the other party again. 1 punch. 2 punches. 3 punches. Fist to the flesh. This time the attack was like a violent storm, all smashing on Yuanjie. Brother G was confused. Good guy, did the small universe break out? Is it? Yuanjie looked at Mikvas's strong and powerful muscles. No matter how you can't imagine it, this is true? He was like returning to the light, beating Yuanjie madly. Every punch and kick is infinitely powerful, knocking the other party away. The audience in the live broadcast room was terrified, and the situation of this sidefall did not seem to be very good. Someone couldn't bear to look directly and silently close the live broadcast room. And some of the irascible old brothers have already begun to spray. What kind of stuff? If you can't beat it, don't get it hard. What about your giant? What about your meteorite? What about your black flame? The man shut up instantly. Most people believe that the reason why Emperor Yuan does not use those super powerful killing moves is his own considerations. Yuanjie feels that although the god is still invincible, the spiritual power cultivation that can be absorbed is getting less and less. It seems that there are restrictions, and it is necessary to find more leaks to cut. This gave him some headaches. His cultivation of the 7th order of the Great Night Realm was almost able to feel the 8th order, and he originally wanted to let Mikvas beat himself and help him upgrade. However, there is an upper limit to the spiritual power cultivation that has been beaten up, and I don't know whether it is the upper limit of a single body or a single day ceiling. However, the harvest of this beating was okay, and it increased Yuanjie's cultivation by 10% of the 7th order of the Great Evening Realm. In that case, let's end the game. After Yuanjie was knocked off again, he rushed over with his hind foot. You're not my opponent at all. Mikvas just secretly injected the stimulant to become so powerful. Watching the so-called Yuan Emperor being punched by himself, he felt extremely happy. Mikvas laughed wildly. You don't think you have the ability to turn over, right? Yuanjie shook his head disapprovingly, not knowing who gave him confidence. He fought for so long, but it didn't hurt at all. Miklis was actually doing useless work, but he didn't know, maybe he knew, and he didn't say. Yuanjie was momentary, and Yuanjie's figure suddenly appeared in front of Mikvis's face. He looked at Yuanjie's purple eyes, and couldn't help but look sluggish. He was then kicked into the air. Yuanjie then teleported to keep up, a palm pressed against his chest. A dazzling white light illuminated the entire sky, and a tiny pillar of light condensed into essence burned on Mikvis's chest. Mikvis snorted in pain. He was blasted into the sea by the powerful impact of the laser, startling a huge wave. Generally speaking, if your water entry speed exceeds a certain threshold, you will receive a strong impact. Then, the sea surface will be as hard as the cement surface, causing great harm to people. Coupled with the improper posture of falling into the water, let the back, abdomen or head hit the surface of the water first. A height of 10 meters will paralyze ordinary people, and a height of 18 meters can take you to God immediately. Although Mikvis's body has been transformed, Yuanjie's kick just now kicked him to a height of thousands of meters from the sea, and at the same time, his back was forced. Falling straight to the sea at the speed of sound from a height of thousands of meters, even his strong body could not bear the damage. Mikvis's spine was broken, and he felt like his whole body was falling apart. The laser was still in the jet, breaking through the surface of the water and pushing him hard into the bottom of the sea. Mikvis fell into coma and pain 10,000 meters, 30,000 meters, 50,000 meters. It wasn't until the other party dived into the depths of the 60,000-meter seabed that Yuanjie stopped the attack of the reincarnation explosion. This time the reincarnation explosion, he even used Dao-seeking Jade, and his power increased tenfold. Mikvis woke up suddenly, and he choked on a mouthful of seawater. But he was pushed into the deep sea, and an unbearable pressure was invisibly applied to him. He was so badly injured that he couldn't move even if he roared. A second later, a crack appeared in his skull, followed by his sternum, legs. Click a generation of Flying Eagle country generals. In this way, in the huge seabed pressure, his body turned into a cloud of blood mist, and countless deep-sea creatures immediately rushed to eat his corpse. The originally turbulent sea quickly returned to calm. The entire sea outside winds howl fell into terrible silence. One remaining aircraft carrier and 3 warships, soldiers are still praying for a miracle. It's a pity that there were no miracles, their generals died too much to die anymore. They knelt and begged for mercy, weeping bitterly, begging Emperor Sharingan to let them go. Yuanjie did not understand. He landed on the deck of the aircraft carrier. His reincarnation eye glowed purple, and a time-space passage appeared behind him. General Flying Tiger came out of it. See Emperor Yuan, Little Hawk's aircraft carrier and battleship are good, I'll leave it to you to deal with it. General Flying Tiger looked overjoyed. He had long been interested in the aircraft carrier group of the Flying Eagle country capable of naval and air operations. Yuanjie looked back at him and said lightly, I only have one request. After speaking, without waiting for General Flying Tiger to answer, Yuanjie Flying Thunder God left the place. The space-time channel remains in place, about 5 minutes left. General Flying Tiger hurriedly shouted into the passage, soldiers obey orders, 5 million soldiers are transmitted from the time-space channel at speed. Yes, General Flying Tiger flew in the air, looking down at the huge aircraft carrier, and was equally shocked, if not the first time he saw it. I have to admit that Little Hawk's scientific and technological level is indeed stronger than Tianyuan. If the Huangfu family is allowed to explore it themselves, it will not be possible to reproduce it in 10,000 years. But now, the Yuan Emperor has snatched back a sea and air aircraft carrier for them. If this object is given to many scientists in Yuan to disassemble and study, it can save a lot of detours. Don't think that the thermal weapon of the aircraft carrier fighter is useless in this world. Only the physique above the S-level or the cultivation of the Great Lake realm can ignore the attack of the thermal weapon. But the people who meet this condition, even among the hundreds of billions of people in the Sharingan dynasty, are only tens of thousands. Most of the time, it is a competition to see who has more advanced thermal weapons. The more powerful thermal weapons are, when it comes to war, they can kill one more enemy and their own soldiers will suffer one less casualty. General Flying Tiger realized that he finally understood why Emperor Yuan wanted to establish the Mortal University. Sharingan's scientific and technological progress cannot be achieved by relying only on the efforts of a large family of the Huangfu family, and it must be the strength of the whole country. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 230. Yuanjie left the aircraft carrier and battleship to General Flying Tiger and left it alone. When he came to Winzhou City, he heard a lot of discordant remarks. He opened his eyes and searched for souls at a long distance. It turned out that the nobles of Yingzhou were not dead and tried to be reactionary. Why didn't I see you so faithful in the first place? At this time, a time-space passage appeared in Lu Yuanyan's room, and he understood that it must be Emperor Yuan who was going to summon him. He didn't think much about it, didn't wear any shoes, and walked directly into the passage of time and space. See Emperor Yuan. Yuanjie nodded, and he asked, "This is Yingzhou. I heard a lot of untrue remarks against Yuan. What should I do?" It turned out to be assessing the old man's business level. Zhongshu made Lu Yuanyan think for a while, cleared his throat and replied. Back to Emperor Yuan. The old minister thought that if a public official spread remarks that damaged Yuan's reputation, he should be immediately dismissed and punished with a lifetime ban from government. If it is a nobleman, it should be fined. If it is a commoner, Yuanjie frowned, talked to the point. Zhongshu made Lu Yuanyan stunned, and said, "The minister thinks that education should be the main thing, and punishment should be supplemented." Yuanjie shook his head and said dissatisfied, "It's too slow, and your punishment is not painful. Do you think it is useful? Directly catch one as one, ask and behead in public. This is more deterrent. The thinking of the civil official is still too benevolent and rotten. If he asked martially, it must be a different answer." In the early days of the founding of the dynasty, what was needed was an iron-blooded hand, not a soft policy. Of course, there must be a good reason for the questioning, otherwise it is tyranny. As for the evaluation of the people, there is no need to care at all. Justice is in people's hearts, and all dissatisfaction will be diluted with time. Yuanjie returned to Byakugan, and he saw Li Tiansha pruning plum blossoms in front of the yard. "You're back," said Li Tiansha, smiling sweetly at him. Yuanjie's expression was a little tangled. He felt that fate had played a huge joke on him, and if there was only one person, then he didn't have to think about it. But think about it from another perspective. This is not an opportunity to make up for all the regrets of your past life at once. Thinking of this, Yuanjie walked over. Li Tiansha gently took his hand, led him to Plum Blossom, and said happily, "Brother Ji, look, this plum blossom has 6 petals, and the other plum blossoms only have 5 petals. So amazing." Yuanjie walked up and saw that it was indeed like this. This world has too many similarities with the previous world, but the people are different. The heart is the same. Years have passed since the careful crush time, but that memory, the ripples that ripple in the mind will never dissipate, just like sorry will expire, but romance will not. The two warmed up for a while, and Yuanjie left. He had something to do. Li Tiansha looked at the footprints he left when he left, and a painful look appeared in his eyes. On the other side, in the castle of different space, Susa saw Yuanjie leaning on the balcony, looking at a colorful void in the distance. She walked over and patted the other party's shoulder and said, "I see that you seem to have changed since you came back." Yuanjie sighed resentfully. Susu sat down next to her, took off her shoes, and picked out the knotted white stockings. "Susu, I saw him. I told you before, a man I liked in a past life." Susu smiled while picking his feet. "Isn't this good? I don't understand what you're struggling with." Then, as if she had thought of something, she asked, "That man, his reincarnation is?" Susu's foot-picking action suddenly paused, frightening her hard, and the white stockings broke a hole. She stood up in shock. "What do you say? He is Yuanjie?" Yuanjie nodded. "That's right. In his previous life, he was also this name, this look." After she finished speaking, she continued to look at the void from afar, revealing a look of nostalgia. "When I first came over, I thought that person was him, but I found that my personality was completely different, so I really treated him as a younger brother. Later I found out that he, like me, had come into this world, and his soul was attached to that body and became the real him." Susu was speechless. Her most speechless was the original body of Yuanjie and Yuanjie. Good guy, both of them were taken away. It's kind of miserable. "So, are you worried about you and his identity?" Yuanjie shook his head and said, "That's not true. I am not related to him. Actually, It doesn't matter if there is a blood relationship, you think. Isn't it more exciting? Yuanjie glanced at her strangely. I really don't understand what you're struggling with. Did he forget you when he crossed over? Yuanjie's eyes struggled. However, he now has another woman beside him. Susu used spiritual power to make the watermelon in the room automatically cut on the air, and flew over. She nibbled on a mouthful of melon and said, then you can't blame yourself? Yuanjie also regretted it very much at the moment. If she kept meeting him with her true face, then when he crossed over, he would be able to see himself at first sight. In this way, the two can relive the burning years of passion in the other world. It will not be like this. The sky is different, and no one has let go. After vegetarian ate the melon, a sentence came out of Lang Buting. So, you are struggling with the problem of making big and small? It's useless for you to entangle. The decision is in the hands of men. Yuanjie walked away angrily. She was thinking about what to do to let Li Tiansha take the initiative to leave him, so that he would be willing to belong to him alone. Yuanjie returned to the dormitory and took out a glass bottle from the Shenhui space. It was containing a drop of immortal blood that had been found from the K family's territory. He wanted to know whose this drop of immortal blood really belonged to, and what his or her identity was. Yuanjie knew that his rash rebirth of immortal bloodline might lead to disaster. But he was just curious about which great power the immortal blood that was regarded as a treasure by the K family was taken from. Moreover, he reincarnated as filthy soil. Even if he was freed from the control of the other party's mind, it should not be a big problem for him to immediately make the dirt reborn and disintegrate. Rebirth of filthy soil. The sky outside was still so blue, and it did not cause any visions of heaven and earth. In front of Yuanjie, a coffin dug into the ground. Bang! The coffin board fell in response. Suddenly, from the darkness, two green lights flickered and flickered. Chapter 231. Yuanjie immediately made a defensive posture. He felt that the camera was not good. Broken. Shouldn't there be a boss resurrected? A childish hand grasped the coffin board, and a heavy gasp filled the air. Who are you? You tell me first. Who are you? The green glow in the coffin grew, and a very unfriendly voice came from inside. Then, the other party stepped out and teleported in front of Yuanjie. He flew up and silently looked at Yuanjie, and when he noticed Yuanjie's eyes, the green light in his eyes trembled. Yuanjie was also looking at the little boy. He saw that the other party also had a pair of strange eyes, glowing green, and could not see the real thing. The two were silent for a while, not knowing what to say. You say it first. Yuanjie and the little boy stared wide-eyed, purple-eyed, green-eyed, and spoke in unison. Yuanjie looked at the clothes worn by the little boy. It seemed that it was not from this dynasty, and seeing that the other party had no malice, he introduced himself. My name is Yuanjie. Yuanjie. The little boy raised his eyebrows. You also have the surname Yuan. Yuanjie frowned. Are you too? The little boy stood up straight, patted his chest and said, that's right, the old man does not change his name, sits down and does not change his surname. In the next Yuanshan, the little boy looked very cute, and his old-fashioned look made Yuanjie laugh. Then, Yuanjie suddenly thought of something, and he screamed, what? Your name is Yuanshan. What is the relationship between Yuanjie and Sheng and you? Yuanjie and Sheng? Listen to the name, don't you know it? That's my good big boy. The little boy Yuanshan looked suspicious, climbed on the mahogany dragon table, sat opposite Yuanjie. He leaned over and asked, then what is the relationship between you and Yuanjie and Shen? Yuanjie pulled the corners of his mouth. That's my father. The little boy Yuanshan was stunned. He looked at Yuanjie again, suddenly jumped up and patted his shoulder and laughed. Good grandson. Yuanjie slapped away his fat little hand and said with disgust, your appearance makes it difficult for me to substitute 10 twists. Yuanshan sighed and said meaningfully, Alice, no way, I went too far with your grandmother back then, and I didn't care. Are you sure it's just going overboard? This is somewhat perverted, right? Yuanshan sat on Yuanjie's shoulder, pulled his ears and said, your eyes, the old man can see at a glance, really inherited the excellent bloodline of my Yuan family. Not bad. Unexpectedly, the bloodline of God was actually inherited from generation to generation. Fortunately, it is not buried. I was speechless when I thought that your dad was a waste and married a mortal who was equally wasteful. Yuanjie glared at him fiercely. Don't bury my father and mother like this. Yuanshan touched his head. Yuantian was born to be his own eldest child. What happened to saying 2 words as a father? Yuantian saw that the other party was angry, and felt that he pulled away from the topic. You seem to be a little unusual here. Yuanjie nodded and said proudly, that's right, I'm the emperor now. Yuanjie jumped down and pulled the corners of Yuanjie's clothes. Go, let me see what kind of ability your purple eyes are. After speaking, he ran out of the room with his own care, opened the door and bumped into Li Tiansha. What a cute little child. Li Tiansha looked down at a little boy shorter than Jen's number 2, and she went over and rubbed her head. Yuanjie came out at this time and saw Li Tiansha caressing his grandfather's dog's head, and he was stunned. Yuanjie, maybe because of his strong strength, so the soil was reborn relatively completely. You are my granddaughter-in-law of Yuanjie, right? The little boy in her hand suddenly appeared as sentence, which frightened Li Tiansha. She shrunk her hand and looked at Yuanjie. Brother Ji nodded helplessly. He is my grandfather. How can there be such a small grandfather? Yuanjie jumped up, knocked Li Tiansha's forehead and said, I'm not small. Yuanjie smiled bitterly, and suddenly a little fart child appeared and said to himself, I am your grandfather. I am afraid that no one believes this, right? The bloodline of the Yuan family is famous for pupil technique. At this time, Xiaonan came out. She found Yuanjie at a glance, and was pleasantly surprised. Xiaonan, why are you here? Then she took a closer look and sighed. Look at you like this, you should be dead. After I left, what happened to the Yuan family? Unexpectedly, Yuanjie took the initiative to run over and hug Xiaonan's thigh. Woohoo, sixth aunt. It seems that Grandpa Tai's decision to seal you up and avoid the chaotic world was right. Xiaonan smiled. I still like you to call me Grandma. Wait a minute, it seems a bit messy. Grandpa Yuanjie is called Xiaonan's grandmother, that is to say, Xiaonan's sixth aunt is Yuanjie's sixth aunt, his grandfather's daughter. That is to say, Xiaonan is the daughter of Yuanjie's grandfather's grandfather, and then, she called me brother? Brother, why did you summon Xiaonan out? Yuanjie was stunned, and the hand holding Xiaonan's thigh couldn't help but loosen. My sixth aunt called my grandson brother? He touched his head blandly, and suddenly didn't know what to say. Yuanjie also did not expect that the drop of immortal blood left by the K family turned out to be the essence blood of his grandfather. That's it, Xiaonan's identity was revealed, and she was actually the daughter of her grandfather's grandfather. Then what she said in her mouth was that she looked like her brother, and she should be her grandfather's uncle. The reason why Yuanjie didn't recognize it was because when he was born, his grandfather was already old, and he naturally hadn't seen his grandfather's young appearance, and there were few opportunities to contact his uncle, so he had no impression. After sorting out all this, Yuanjie cried and laughed. I can only say that your circle is really chaotic. Okay, good grandson, go out with Grandpa. Yuanjie resumed his serious expression, pulled Yuanjie's trouser leg, and signaled him to hurry up. At this time, it was Xiaonan's turn to be depressed. Good grandfather? Grandpa, outside Sharingan, on a huge wasteland, Yuanjie immediately opened the 1,700-meter Susanoo. Yuanjie pondered, the embodied Dharma phase heaven and earth? No, it should not be the Dharma phase heaven and earth, it is a scale unique to the eyes. Next, a huge extraterrestrial meteorite broke through the clouds and revealed its hideousness. Boom, 3 extraterrestrial meteorites pressed Yuanjie below. A stone mountain appeared out of thin air on the ground, and Yuanjie's reborn body began to reorganize, and he nodded with a smile. Yes, your eyes are extremely powerful. And at this stage of cultivation, they are almost comparable to my brother's world-destroying god pupils. Grandpa, what are your eyes? Yuanjie narrowed his eyes, the green light dispersed, and complex runes were carved in his pupils. Yuanjie suddenly looked up and saw a meteorite 10 times larger than the extraterrestrial meteorite he had just now, falling. At the same time, an identical golden giant appeared on Yuanjie's body. Chapter 232. Although Yuanjie did not understand what the special ability of his grandfather's eyes was, he was shocked. Then, with a wave of Yuanjie's hand, the golden giant and the extraterrestrial meteorite all disappeared. How? Yuanjie liked to see his grandson's startled expression. Yuanjie frowned. Grandpa, the ability of your eyes is a replica, right? It can be said that it is, or it can be said that it is not. Most of my tricky demon pupils' abilities are indeed unconditionally perfect copies of the other party's moves, but there is reality in reality, and no one can tell which is true and which is false. Is there a void in reality? Mused Yuanjie. The meaning of this sentence is that if he reproduces the opposite 10 moves, then there may be one or several moves that are actually fake. But here's the problem, you don't know which trick is fake? Do you dare to bet? And this ability belongs to a kind of illusion, but it is stronger than illusion. No matter what method you use to snoop, you can't see the clue. Moreover, Yuanjie's illusion technique is actually limited, and he simply cannot release it on people above the same level. Yuanjie's ability is different. Everyone will be deceived, even if the other party's cultivation is countless times ahead of him, they will still be deceived. Yuanjie saw his grandson's frowning and contemplative appearance, and he couldn't help but feel refreshed, and the next sentence left him speechless. Then Grandpa, since your eyes are so strong, why would you be killed, Yuanjie? This question is a little difficult to say. Can he say that it was because of carelessness? As a result, the gang of Mao did not talk about martial virtue, and they dug up all the ancestors of the flying fairyland. He faced 30 flying immortals in one God King realm, and also killed more than 20 back, as well as countless weak chickens in the God King realm, and the aftermath of the battle even broke the laws of the heavenly Dao of this world. This kind of record is not to say that there are no ancients, at least there are no comers, right? Yuanjie was shocked when he heard his grandfather boasting about his achievements that year. Good fellow, this goods did not say that he crossed the level, with a group of enemies. He also directly crossed the level and killed more than 20 people. Yuanjie had to start reflecting on his combat power. He thought that he was already very strong, but he didn't expect that there were people outside the people, and there was a sky outside the sky. Now although he can cross the level and kill people, but you let him fight 30 strong people who are a big realm higher than himself, he really can't do it. Thinking of this, Yuanjie's desire for strength became stronger. He will not be arrogant enough to think that he is invincible in the world, not to mention that other countries may have hidden mysterious masters, and the unknown existence of hidden doors. Seeing his grandson's silent appearance, Yuanjie thought that the other party was immersed in his brilliant achievements and could not extricate himself, so he explained, "Do you think my tricky demon pupil is already very strong? For example, my brother's world-destroying god pupil, although the attack move is very single, only a pillar of light shoots out from the eye, but it is extremely lethal, and everywhere it goes, everything is silent." Back then, he only had the cultivation of the celestial phenomenon realm, and he directly killed the God King realm in a second. Later, let alone the flying fairyland, even the big guys in the upper realm did not dare to say that they could carry this trick. And my grandfather's creation god pupil, which can not only be replicated, but also evolved, making moves that are more perfect and powerful than the original moves. Unfortunately, when I was attacked, they had already gone up. I don't worry about your father, they are just mortals, and they can't be brought with him. If we're gone, who'll protect them? I thought I could give them the end of their life, but when you were born, the group of four came. Yuanjie fell into memories and sighed. Grandpa, when you were attacked, how many tens of thousands of years ago? Every dynasty will change the annual calendar. How do I know? The vicissitudes of the sea now can only be traced back to the previous dynasty at most, the history of the Celestial Empire tens of thousands of years ago, and it is impossible to know it before. Yuanjie is no longer entangled, and what has already happened has become a foregone conclusion. He and Yuanjie should have been sealed by another strong man, and that strong man, who has a relationship with a Yuan family, is likely to be one of the 12 guardian families. As for which one? Now so much time has passed, it is long gone. Yuanjie stretched his waist. Okay, after talking so much, I'm curious about what your eyes are capable of. The Yuan family laughed and said, compared to my grandfather, it seems that my reincarnation eye is not so powerful. The other party gave him a blank look. You are right, you have to know that you are only in the late realm now. Behind there are the phaseless realm, the celestial realm, the returning to the mortal realm, the true realm, the God King realm, and the flying immortal realm. The fact that you can have such strength in the great evening realm shows that the potential of your eyes is still very large. You have to know a little, the Yuan family's innate pupil technique, none of them are weak. Come on, just use any move. I found that you reborn me from the soil, immortal and immortal, infinite spiritual power. To be honest, your move is a bit against the sky. Yuanjie's eyes narrowed, and he directly opened the 6 Dao mode, immortal mode, and 8 doors of Dunjia art, making Yuanjie look stupid. Good fellow, can you still play transformation? So handsome. Not only that, behind him, there were 10 Dao-seeking jades floating. Grandpa, come a punch, are you sure? I'm afraid you won't be able to withstand the old man's punch. Come. Yuanjie opened the absolute defense of seeking Dao Jade, and Yuanjie lightly threw a punch, but it brought up an attack that destroyed the world and the earth. This is a blow from the top god king realm. I don't know how much strength exceeds Yuanjie. As for why Yuanjie is not bound by the laws of heaven in the phaseless realm, it is probably because of the dirt rebirth card bug. Sure enough, the copper wall and iron wall built by seeking Dao Jade were smashed by a punch, and Yuanjie was shocked. He didn't expect that the gap in strength was so big. Didn't he say that the absolute defense was good? Yuanjie was also shocked, and quickly withdrew a large part of his power. He was afraid that he would kill his precious grandson with a punch. Unexpectedly, a punch hit his body, and Yuanjie did not move, standing in place safely. Yuanjie was stunned, unscathed. Can he still play like this? Although he has already had mercy, this punch can burst the mortal realm. At the same time, he felt that the breath on his grandson's body had changed greatly compared to before. What the hell? Yuanjie felt the spiritual power in his body rising rapidly, and suddenly touched the bottleneck of the phaseless realm. My obedient, the god-nest sun god was passively triggered, and was bombarded to the phaseless realm by my grandfather's punch. Jumped directly from the 8th order of the great evening realm to about to break through the phaseless realm? Good guy, terrifying. What's going on with you? Chapter 233. Yuanjie felt something in his heart. He felt that he was about to break through to the phaseless realm, but the shackles of the heavenly Dao lore restricted him, making him unable to take that step. Yuanjie thought about it and suddenly had a good idea. Grandpa, you wait a little first. After speaking, Yuanjie entered the Shinwei space. He meditated and held his breath, silently feeling the changes in spiritual power in his body. Click, it really works. Yuanjie was overjoyed, and he felt that the barrier had loosened. Now the spiritual power stored in his body has skyrocketed, and the only time left is to break the barrier. He had heard Yuanjie explain before the key to promotion to the phaseless realm. And now, the perception is there, and the water is ready. It's just that it takes a bit long to break through the barrier, about a week or so. Yuanjie's identity is different now. He is the king of a country, and if he wants to retreat, he must explain important things well. Thinking of this, he came out of the Shinwei space and saw Yuanjie playing in the mud on the ground board. Xiaoji, where did you go just now? Want to come in and take a look? Yuanjie nodded, and then he was teleported into the Shinwei space. In the Shinwei space, except for the Beast Dao, Azure Dao, and Human Dao, everyone else is cultivating in the Shinwei space. Yuanjie shouted magical, good guy, I didn't expect that his grandson actually had an independent world. He is a cultivator of the great evening realm. How can he open up a different space? He found that his grandson seemed to have many secrets, such as the skill that could be upgraded after being beaten just now, which was a bit unreasonable. If he had learned this trick back then, let alone 30 flying fairylands, even if you came to 100, he would not be afraid. Huh? This alien space can still store living things. Yuanjie saw Pain. The Pains quickly stood up and saluted. Grandpa, this is Pain. There are 6 in total, which are the Dao of Heaven, the Dao of Earth, the Dao of Shiro, the Dao of Hell, the Dao of Hungry Ghosts, and the Dao of Beasts. Each Pain has its own different abilities. Yuanjie summoned the 3 paths of going out into the Shinwei space by the way. So that's the case. Oh no, isn't there only 5 people? Yuanjie stood over with a smile. I am the Dao of Heaven, good fellow. Yuanjie touched his chin and nodded. After going out of the Kamui space, Yuanjie showed his other moves. Amaterasu, Kamui Void, Shinra Tenseigan, Vientian Heavenly Introduction, Earth Explosion Celestial Star, Senfa Mutangen Thousand Hands Topping Buddha, Kamui Elish in the form of Susanoo, White Eye Coercion, and so on. Among them, Yuanjie greatly appreciated Shinwei's skill. Most of your other skills are bells and whistles, except for the loud and powerful ability to scare children. My evaluation is average. However, it is indeed extraordinary to be able to unleash such a powerful move in your great evening realm cultivation. Only Shinwei can truly call it a divine skill, not only invincible for a short time, but also can teleport objects and organisms and even themselves into Shinwei space, and can even surprise and kill with one hit. There is also the passive skill of Aizu and Godwat Sun God. One is to permanently weaken the other party's cultivation, the other is passively beaten with a probability of being invincible, and can actually improve its own cultivation. These 3 moves are not glowing or black. The old man has lived for 100,000 years, and it is the most perverted move I have ever seen. Of course, this is my personal opinion. Don't like it. Yuanjie is judged according to his actual situation. If he had divine power back then, let alone 30 flying fairylands, what about 100? Back then, he was disturbed by the other party's voice, turned back to save Yuanjie's parents, and accidentally hit a chicken. If he had Shenwei, he could completely include his son and daughter-in-law in Shenwei's space, so that he would have no worries and fight with all his strength. As for moves such as Heavenly Obstruction, Shock Star and True Thousand Hands, yes, the damage is very high and can surpass the challenge. But don't forget, the Leapfrog challenge is standard for every genius. It's nothing. Any powerful move, in front of the old monster, has a probability of being cracked. Only skills that can truly save lives are the most practical skills in battle. Yuanjie didn't pay attention to it, he knew his own things. True invincibility does not mean that you are invincible just by having life-saving skills, and you must also have super damage. Otherwise, it would be the same as Yu Menghan. Her defense is indeed amazing, even Yuanjie can't break her defense, but it's not practical. Spear and shield are indispensable. Yuanjie can unconditionally copy other people's skills. The stronger the opponent, the stronger he is, so he thinks more about retreating with a minimum cost. But Yuanjie is different. Only if he personally masters a super move that is more powerful than others, can he have a glimmer of life. When the spear is sharp enough to penetrate all shields, the so-called defense becomes a joke. Grandpa and grandson chatted for a morning and talked very happily. Yuanjie gradually learned a lot about the family. The ancient Yuan family collectively ascended 600,000 years ago, leaving behind a Yan family. Since the Yuan family's large army soared, the enemies in this world began to be unable to hold back, and they all took action against the Yuanjie remaining clansmen. But they don't forget that even a skinny camel is still bigger than a horse, not to mention the protection of the 12 guardian families. The Yuan family continued to develop steadily, constantly sending geniuses to the upper realm. Until more than 100,000 years ago, the leader of the Yuan family felt that the spiritual energy of this plane was too thin, and decided to run away collectively and bring all the geniuses and masters in the clan with him. However, the unexpected happened at this time. The first to bear the brunt was the 12 guardian god families, 9 rebellions, and the reactionaries led by the Guke family secretly planned for many years, taking advantage of the fact that the strong people of the Yuan family teleported to the upper realm and the family was empty. The excuse for their rebellion is very simple, that is, they think that their family has made cattle and horses for the Yuan family for generations, and as a result, the Yuan family itself secretly ran to the upper realm. Why not bring them? The 12 guardian families also went up to many people, and those who stayed were just abandoned sons. They may know, but they don't want to believe it. At that time, only Yuanjie was the strong man who remained in the family, and his wife and concubines and heirs took the lead. What Yuanjie thought was to wait until his son and daughter-in-law died of old age and illness. Anyway, in 100 years, he could afford to wait. Unexpectedly, the 12 guardian god families poured out and sent 30 flying immortal realm powerhouses, as well as countless god king realm and below. Yuanjie immediately destroyed the teleportation formation, and one person alone ruled for eternity. Most of the people of the Yuan family left behind were mortals, and only he alone had combat power. He faced the attacks of 9 guardian families alone, and single-handedly destroyed the 4 major families of Yin, Wang, Chen, and Wu, and seriously injured the 4 families of Ke, Ning, Huanfu, and Zi. The rest of the Wei family and the Hai family stood by and watched, and only the Yi family helped. Chapter 234. You said you still have a sister? That's right, she must be a descendant of the guardian god Yi family. Yuanjie touched his head and said, oh yes, Grandpa, the Ke family and the Ning family have been destroyed by me, and now the rulers of the Huangfu family are controlled by my other heavenly gods. Yuanjie laughed heartily, and he jumped up and patted Yuanjie's shoulder. Ha ha ha, good boy, worthy of being my Yuanjie's grandson, well done. Then he hesitated. What kind of skill is the other Xianxian for? Yuanjie was stunned. Can you still play like this? In that case, if you have a number in your heart, after so many years, they should have forgotten that arc history, right? Regarding the hidden door you asked me just now, I hadn't heard of the hidden door before I died. It should be that the laws of the heavenly Dao were broken later, and those big families entered the alien space in order to avoid the pursuit and killing of the heavenly Dao, right? In that case, maybe someone from that group of old 6 families has already cultivated above the flying immortals and has the power to match the immortals. Even I'm afraid it's hard to deal with. Then we will avoid fighting, and teleport to the upper realm as soon as possible, so as not to provoke wrong. Just now, I investigated the Heavenly Dao and found that the Heavenly Dao law has actually been perfected by half, and the seal will be lifted soon. The dangers you will face in the future may be heavier than you think. Yuanjie seemed to have thought of something. He raised his head and asked, by the way, can your individual heavenly gods still be used? Yuanjie nodded. The last time he used it was to control the Huangfu Palace cloud in the fusion realm, and now that he is in the late realm, the other heavenly god has refreshed a number of uses, but there has been no suitable candidate to use it. Grandpa will help you find a peerless master, and when the time comes, let you control him and become your most loyal slave. Yuanjie, then it seems that breaking through the phaseless realm will have to wait. The two grandfathers and grandsons of Yuanjie and Yuanjie returned to Byakugan, and Yuanjie looked at the majestic palace and couldn't help but sigh. I never thought that my Yuan family would one day become a secular emperor. Although the Yuan family has not participated in worldly disputes for generations, this honor should still be taken, otherwise how can it be worthy of the title of the first family in Kyushu? Yuanjie's face was reluctant, and Yuanjie patted him on the shoulder and said, don't worry, there is no one in this world who can throw Grandpa for the time being. Yuanjie was speechless. He didn't worry about this old urchin. He just wondered when he could get the other party to help him beat so that he could level up quickly. In the end, Yuanjie left, and he said that he found the breath of the old man and hid in some corner of this world. Moreover, he had to find the ancestral land of the Yuan family, repair it again, and activate the teleportation formation. More than 100,000 years have passed, and the Earth's crust has experienced countless movements. Many places that were once seas are now mountains. How difficult is it to find ancestral land? On the other side, in the Void Castle, Susu suddenly opened his eyes. Why do I feel an exceptionally powerful force? This is not scientific. Is the law of heaven repaired? Or is there an old monster running out? With this in mind, Susu put on his stockings and white shoes, picked up his staff and wanted to leave the castle. Yuanjie asked her, Susu, do you want to go out? Susu nodded. She wanted to figure out one thing, why the other party could not be shackled by the Heavenly Dao, and the strength reached the realm of the God King. Yuanjie hesitated and said, then, I'll go out together. Figured it out. It's not that I figured it out, I wanted to see him. As soon as Yuanjie sent his grandfather away, a void wormhole was created behind him. Susu and Yuanjie walked out from inside. Little handsome man, who do you think I brought? Yuanjie suddenly heard a female voice behind him, which seemed familiar. He quickly turned around and saw a silhouette dressed in red and white. Sister Susu. Then, he saw Yuanjie behind Susu. No, it should be Yisuking. At this time, she let go of all barriers and met him with her true face for the first time. When he saw that haunted face, Yuanjie's eyes instantly turned red. He didn't know how many years had passed, and that person's voice and smile often appeared in his dreams, lingering. She was also his regret. I think that back then, the two had already made a marriage contract, thinking that they would get married at the end of the year, but they didn't expect bad news. She was sick, terminally ill, not leukemia, but stomach cancer. It was already advanced when it was discovered, and with the medical conditions at the time, there was no cure at all. Yuanjie regretted very much why he didn't learn cooking, and he had to wait for Yisuking to cook every time. If her 3 meals were regular, could she avoid this stomach cancer? Yisuking just smiled. She didn't blame him. The onset of cancer must be cumulative. The two of them have only been together for 2 years, and it is not Yuanjie's fault at all. He silently stood by her hospital bed, watching her hair change from thick to thin, and then to a cute bald head. Even so, she laughed every day, and she didn't want him to be sad. It's just that every midnight, she has a stomach ache that she can't sleep. She hurts, and so does he. In this way, after half a year of treatment, the savings of the two were emptied, and even a debt was owed. The day before the original scheduled date, she finally left with a frown. He remembered what she had said to him before leaving. If there's still a next life, I want to meet you sooner. Even if I can't be a lover, I will be your sister so that I can continue to be by your side. Yuanjie held her hand and shook his head desperately. No, if there is a next life, I will definitely marry you. Give you a hug and tell you I love you. Yisuking pulled out a smile weakly. You mean what you say? If you can't do it in the next life, I'll. Before she finished speaking, she lowered her hand, her eyes still open. Yuanjie covered her eyes with his hand and kissed her deeply on the lips. I promised you, I didn't cry in front of you. At this time, the doctors and nurses rushed in for a while, and finally shook their heads, and regretfully patted Yuanjie, who had already cried into tears. Yuanjie stood quietly in place. She didn't move. What was she waiting for? At this time, Xiaonan patted Li Tiansha, who was pruning plum blossoms. Look, who's back? Li Tiansha's face was full of joy, and when he wanted to run over, his face turned pale. Chapter 235. Yuanjie hugged it very hard, as if he had used the strength of 2 lifetimes. Yuanjie stared into his eyes, and she stood on tiptoe, then held his cheeks and brought her lips together. The two forgot to bite. I'm blanching, this young man. Susu's eyes widened. Xiaonan's eyes widened even wider than Susu's. These two, are they having such an exciting time, although they all knew that Yuanjie and Yuanjie were not related. But who would have thought that these two would actually walk together? When did anyone know? And Li Tiansha is pretty white, she didn't expect it all. Why does Sister Yi like Brother Ji? In her memory, the two people's performance is very normal, and they have never crossed a line. This forbidden love did not make her feel excited, but heartache. No wonder, since she was a child, Sister Yi looked at her like a family thief. No wonder Sister Yi has always been so cold to herself. No wonder, Sister Yi would object to her being with Brother Ji. So it was. Li Tiansha seemed to have lost her soul, and she turned and left. Shallow. Xiaonan called out to her, but the other party walked like a puppet as if he hadn't heard it. For a long time, lips parted. Sweeter than in previous life, then do it again. Don't, a lot of people are watching. Yuanjie gently blocked the other party's lips with 2 fingers. Changsun Ming coughed, ahem, Emperor Yuan, we didn't see anything. As soon as he arrived at the Purple Palace, he saw such an explosive scene. He had heard before that Emperor Yuan already had a candidate for Empress, but he didn't expect it to be the eldest princess. He felt that his 3 views were about to be exploded. Yuanjie walked over, his purple eyes flickered, deleting this memory of Changsun Ming. Some things, knowing too much is not a good thing. Shang Shuling Changsun Ming froze for a moment, and then looked at the surrounding environment. When did I arrive at the Purple Palace? Yuanjie smiled at him and beckoned him to sit down. Say, did you come to me for something? Changsun Ming recalled, and with a pat on his head, he handed over his hand. Emperor Yuan, just now the Flying Eagle country sent a letter asking us to compensate them for the loss of the 7th Fleet and return the aircraft carrier. In addition, Yuanjie took a sip of flower tea and said lightly, what else? In addition, the other party seriously protested this kind of thug behavior, accusing me of Yuan Yuan's lawlessness and ignoring the laws of the Langsing Alliance, which is a provocation. Yuanjie smiled. The thief shouted to catch the thief, and he did a good job. You just replied to them like this. It was the fleet of the Flying Eagle country that invaded my Sharingan's territorial waters first, and we were just defensive. If they are not convinced, then I will personally go to their territory to see if they dare to beat me down. If they dare to fight, Yuan Feng will accompany me to the end that day. Changsun Ming looked stunned, and he said with a smile, Emperor Yuan, if you do this? Yuanjie spread out his hands, arrogant, isn't this the style of a big country? Changsun Ming took his leave and went back to arrange the palindrome from the Ministry of Ceremonies. At this time, Yuanjie, oh no, should be called Yi Suking. She was not originally from the Yuan family, she was originally surnamed Yi, but her ancestor arranged for her to be sealed with herself. Yi Suking sat on his lap and hugged him like an octopus. You haven't said that yet. She coquettishly. Yuanjie raised his eyebrows, which sentence? Yi Suking hammered his chest and said coquettishly, that's what you said to me in my last life. Yuanjie deliberately teased her, I'll recall it first. Yi Suking immediately made a cold face, jumped down from his lap, and snorted, you actually forgot. Yuanjie pulled her back, leaned into her ear, and said softly, Yi Suking, I love you. After speaking, Yuanjie lightly bit her earlobe. Yi Suking's body trembled, there was her sensitive point. She collapsed limply in his arms. You wait first, I want you to marry me before I can go further. Yuanjie stopped his hand movements, he respected her decision. Will you marry me? Yi Suking hugged him, leaned into his ear, and bit his earlobe in a similar way. She exhaled like a lan, and her warm breath teased Yuanjie's nerves. Of course I will marry. and it is my regret that I can't put on a wedding dress for you with my own hands in my previous life, Yusuking said forcefully and indistinctly. What about Li Tiansha and Yuanjie? Yusuking pushed away his embrace and sneered. It seems that you still haven't let her go. Yuanjie smiled bitterly. How can it be so easy? If Li Tiansha is the white moonlight in his life, it is hopeful but unattainable. That Yusuking is a cinnabar mole, forever engraved in the heart, lingering. Yusuking hugged him, put her head on his shoulder and muttered, well, I'll give you time. You must forget her slowly. You belong to me alone, and I don't want another woman to steal your love from me. Yuanjie was silent. He had just noticed that Li Tiansha had left in disappointment. With Yusuking, the domineering little vinegar essence, it seems that the azure field is less fierce. If he wants to give up anyone, he doesn't want to give up. But the ideal is full, and the reality is really cruel. Like herself, Yusuking crossed from the modern era of monogamy. Unlike men, women can accept the marriage system of this world so easily. Thinking about it from another perspective, Yuanjie can especially understand her thoughts. The two warmed up for a while, and Yusuking finally let him go. After all, Yuanjie is now the emperor of the dynasty, and there are many things waiting for him to deal with. For example, grading and folding, piling up small books into small mountains is enough to make people see that they are all big. Yusuking was grinding ink on the side, and Yuanjie did not use the shadow doppelganger. He checked it himself, and the people around him occasionally came to take a look. They're so bored, why don't you say hello and have a book? Yuanjie felt that his head was a little big, and he had been reviewing the shadow doppelganger before, and the unimportant information was automatically filtered. But this time he personally came down, but found that so many boring public servants said good morning to him, the emperor, every day. Is it that he has nothing to do after eating, or do you think that he is too idle as an emperor? Yuanjie said coldly. It took him a full 2 hours to read all of today's recitals. Good guys, 80% of the time is saying hello to yourself, it's really boring enough. After Yusuking left, Yuanjie hurried to Fly Thunder God to find Li Tiansha. It was found that she came to the old house in Jianghu City, sitting alone on the sofa in a daze. Chapter 236. Seeing Yuanjie coming, Li Tiansha wiped the corners of his eyes in panic, and then stood up and poured a glass of water for him. Yuanjie sat silently beside her, but the distance between the two was a little far at this time. Brother Ji, are you sincere with me? Li Tian looked at him stunnedly, eager to know his answer. In her life, except for that one, all the first times were given to him. Her first time holding hands with a man, her first hug with a man, and her first love, her first kiss. There may be many, many firsts in the future. Li Tiansha is a self-reliant girl. If Yuanjie just treats her as a lonely transitional object, she will leave him without hesitation. Yuanjie has also thought about this problem these days. In his heart, is Li Tiansha in this world just a substitute for that world? Has he ever liked her, or rather, she just looks like her, but his obsession is too deep and unwilling to let go. After thinking seriously for a long time, he realized that he was wrong. Li Tiansha of that world has long withered, and he should no longer force himself to think about her. It is true that Li Tiansha in the two worlds looks very similar, and even in this world, she is more perfect. However, they are not the same person, and the souls living in their bodies are different. After experiencing that nightmare again, he found that most of the reasons why he still missed Li Tiansha in his previous life was because of regret that he couldn't do so. The two are obviously together, and their crush for many years can finally achieve positive results. But it was destroyed by a sudden disaster. He was unwilling, that's why he couldn't forget her. However, did Yuanjie really understand Li Tiansha in his previous life? His crush was sudden, probably because he thought the girl was good-looking, so he liked it. This was not uncommon when I was a student. When you reach the age of spring heart, you will naturally be attracted to the opposite sex. The average person will call it love at first sight. He and she were classmates in their freshman year of high school. At first, he did a lot of ridiculous things in front of her in order to attract her attention, and to this day, he still feels silly when he thinks about it. But he didn't dare to confess his heart to her, not even daring to talk to her a word. A casual look from the other party can make him happy all day. It is this cowardly crush that makes it so memorable. Later, in order to go to the same university as her, he studied hard and finally got his wish. When she arrived at the university campus, she was still shining brightly, and many people pursued it. He was even more cowardly, until the appearance of that kind senior sister allowed the two people who had been in the same window for many years to have the first positive communication. Yuanjie is imagining how far the two can go if Li Tiansha had not had an accident back then, and he and her had successfully become boyfriend and girlfriend. Can she tolerate her flaws, whether her personality is good or bad, or whether after many years, will he still love her as much as he did at the beginning? Until one day, Yuanjie crossed into this world, and the first person he saw when he opened his eyes was her. That inexplicable obsession burned again. As the two got along, Yuanjie saw Li Tiansha in this world, with a lot of shining points. Her hard work, her strength, her indomitability, her self-confidence, her independence, her family, her empathy and so on. Li Tiansha in this world is undoubtedly the ideal wife type in the minds of every man. She would wake up an hour early every morning to prepare breakfast for the little family and call him up. Every day after coming home from class, she would take the initiative to clean up and collect Yuanjie's littered clothes. Whenever he returned late, she would silently wait for him to come home alone on the sofa in the living room, until she was really sleepy and fell asleep leaning on the sofa unconsciously. There are many, many details of life. She has always played the role of a good wife and mother, and has paid for nearly 10 years without complaint. Taking care of Yuanjie has been deeply imprinted in her heart. Sometimes, men are moved by some trivial actions of women. Yuanjie is no exception. He is sure that he likes her. Li Tiansha, who likes this world, is independent and self-reliant, gentle and virtuous. Coupled with the similarity between her and her appearance, this impulsive liking gets extra points. Yuanjie didn't know if Li Tiansha in his previous life would also have such a personality. It didn't matter anymore. He only knew that what he liked was Li Tiansha in this world. Thinking of this, Yuanjie nodded and put her hand in the palm of his hand. You're nobody's substitute, you're you. What I like is that you in this world, and have nothing to do with others. Li Tian looked at him blankly, and asked weakly, really? Li Tian blushed lightly and bowed his head to answer. Yuanjie was a little distressed after seeing it. This little woman may not know what the future will be. She only knows that he likes her, which is enough to make her happy. Brother G, I want to go to Sister Yuanjie myself and tell her that I don't want to fight for anything. As long as I can be by your side, I am willing to be a concubine. Yuanjie is speechless. Why do you think so much? Now if you are not willing to be small, Yi Suking will agree with you. Well, I suggest you don't go to her. I'll take care of it. When Yuanjie said this, he felt like a scumbag. Li Tiansha leaned on his shoulder, closed his eyes and said, okay, it's all up to you. As soon as these words came out, Yuanjie felt that the guilt in his heart deepened. Fortunately, he is not an amorous man, a woman without an emotional foundation. Even if he is beautiful, he will not be moved. Yu Menghan, as an SSS-level genius, has a perfect appearance and figure, has a family lineage and talent, and has done so many things for himself. She is a good person, but she has her own heart, and there is no place for her. As for Wang Qing, she is also very beautiful, and she also has no feelings. Liv has always had a crush on him, he knows it, it's just that not everyone who likes himself has to accept it. He is not a Buddha and has no obligation to universalize all sentient beings. On the other side, Yuanjie came to Bali Middle School. He frowned and walked to a clearing and said to himself, the familiar aura spreads from here. Who could it be? Then, he suddenly noticed that there was a faint spatial crack not far away, which seemed to have been destroyed by violence. His eyes froze, and he swiped towards the void trace, and the spatial crack was destroyed even more. At this time, the security guard of Bali Middle School noticed him and rushed over. Hey, little boy, this is middle school, not the place to play. Yuanjie was displeased. Little fart child, the security guard sweated coldly. This pair of strange eyes, at a glance is the big guy. He quickly turned around and ran. He still ran slowly, and an explosion drowned him out. Yuanjie opened the spatial crack and stepped in. In the other space, a mysterious woman suddenly looked up. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 237. This breath is so familiar. The mysterious woman got up and sorted out her rags. Yuanjie flew fast all the way to a forest outside. If Yuanjie was there, he would definitely recognize this place. Wasn't it the secret forest where the first test of the spiritual power exam was carried out that year? Yuanjie took a step forward, but hit a wall. This arrangement is becoming more and more familiar. His small powder fist slammed into the enchantment, and the enchantment that hindered his depth was destroyed. The mysterious woman flew out from the depths of the forest, and she was surprised. This familiar smell, could it be that Brother Yan is here? When she flew to the periphery of the secret forest, she and Yuanjie looked at each other, and she was stunned. She tentatively asked, "Brother Yan, is that you?" Yuanjie smiled. "I said, who is the old man? It turns out to be you, Zizishuang. However, I suggest you change your clothes and come again. This one is too torn." The mysterious woman Zizishuang's face turned crimson, and as soon as she turned around, she put on a long white dress. She took Yuanjie back to her residence and personally poured him a cup of tea. Yuanjie was too small to reach, but the cup automatically flew up, and he held it in both hands and blew a breath, and tasted the tea leisurely with his legs. "It's just that this scene, how it looks a little funny." Zizishuang asked with a strange expression, "Brother Yan, how did you become like this?" "I went too far with my wife, and I accidentally became too small." Zizishuang suddenly realized, it seems to be a small interest between the two couples, but this interest seems to have some heavy taste. It's hard to put into words. Then she looked at Yuanjie seriously, but she felt that he was lifeless. "Brother Yan, your father killed him." Was he surprised? Zizishuang's pretty face was slightly stunned. "My father, you should have been banished by your family, because you are inextricably linked to me, and their betrayal actions can't let you know. Otherwise you will definitely report the news." Zizishuang couldn't help but recall the past. If it weren't for her family's reasons, maybe she wouldn't have lost to that woman. "My dad killed them." Yuanjie saw that the other party did not react for a long time. He raised his eyebrows. "Don't you hate me?" Zizishuang smiled miserably. "What's the use of hating you?" Yuanjie continued to take a sip of tea and said lightly, "Also, it has been more than 100,000 years. It's time to put it down." The atmosphere fell into an awkward calm. Zizishuang had a lot to say to him, but did not know where to start. "Why should I go out?" Yuanjie suddenly had an idea. Suddenly, the cold wind was furious, and in the secret forest, it fell in the vast snow. "Brother Yan, just stay with me." Zizishuang's eyebrows were tangled. Unexpectedly, Yuanjie just waved his hand lightly, and the storm stopped. "Do you know why I didn't choose you back then?" Zizishuang looked angry. When Yuanjie refused the Z family's offer, it was a pain for her whole life. She couldn't understand that she was a first family of 12 guardian gods, the little princess of the Z family, with a superior status, great talent, and the right family. Why Yuanjie chose a secular man as his wife? Yuanjie shook his head in disappointment and said, "Zizishuang, you are still the same as before, too stubborn. You are as stubborn as your father, so you are imprisoned here, and your father led the Z family into the abyss, and everything is lost." Zizishuang flew up, her long hair was covered with frost, and she roared angrily, "Yuanjie, you are enough. If you hadn't refused my father's offer, how could he have done something rebelling? Even if he marries her, the rebellion will still rebel. They have been planning for tens of thousands of years. How can it change because of a woman?" Frost danced red plum, between heaven and earth. Patches of goose feathers and snow combined to condense into a plum blossom tree. Plum blossoms bloom, but they are red, symbolizing death. However, behind Yuanjie, a plum blossom tree was also erected, and it was even taller than the other parties. "Have you forgotten the ability of my eyes and magnified my moves as soon as I came up?" Yuanjie clapped his hands and gently knocked on the ice. "You just wait here, I called my grandson to come and collect you." Immediately after, Yuanjie's figure disappeared, and the secret forest was still snowing heavily. "Grandpa," Yuanjie was opening the Morning Dynasty, and the ministers were surprised by the sudden appearance of the little boy. The ministers did not doubt him, and quickly saluted. "The ministers meet the Supreme Emperor." Good fellow, forgot that his grandson is the Emperor, this Supreme Emperor. People are strangely unaccustomed. With his old hands behind his back, he nodded. This cute look, if he were not the Supreme Emperor, it is estimated that the ministers would laugh out loud. "Good grandson, go with grandpa, I'll give you a gift." Yuanjie nodded helplessly and ordered, "Retreat to the dynasty." The ministers watched Emperor Yuan being taken away by the mysterious little boy, and got up to salute. "Congratulations to Emperor Yuan. Congratulations to the Supreme Emperor." General Flying Tiger and Marshal Li looked at each other. I feel that the Supreme Emperor seems to. The Flying Tiger General replied, that's right, he should have died, and it was Emperor Yuan who reborn him from the soil. He saw with his own eyes that Emperor Yuan had reborn the 7 emperors of the Xiong clan from the soil, which was a well-informed person. Marshal Li came over and dissuaded, everyone, don't talk about it. The officials immediately stopped gossiping. They knew that royal affairs should not be discussed in vain. Moreover, they felt a suffocating momentum in that mysterious little boy, afraid that their cultivation would reach the sky. Yuanjie was taken to the secret forest and recognized a woman in the ice crystal at a glance. Isn't this the mysterious woman who claims to be the God King realm? How can she be imprisoned? He looked at Yuanjie and then calmed down. His grandfather's combat power is unfathomable, not to mention the God King realm, and the flying immortal realm is not his opponent. Good grandson, leave her to the gods and modify her will. She is a cultivator of the God King realm, and she is of great use to you. Yuanjie nodded, his purple eyes were deep in color, and invaded the other party's brain through the ice crystals. Zizishuang's expression immediately froze. Because the gap in cultivation was too large, and there were many places for modification, it took 3 hours for the other god to control the other party's will. Master, Zizishuang's face was extremely respectful at the moment. How can you get out? Yuanjie narrowed his eyes. It seems that this person didn't tell the truth before. Chapter 238. Suddenly, he accepted an extremely loyal God King realm subordinate, which made Brother Ji a little dreamy. Zizishuang's expression didn't look like pretending, because in her subconscious, Yuanjie could arrange her to do anything. Even if it is that, she must enjoy it with her eyes closed, and she cannot resist the struggle and betrayal. Just in case, Yuanjie modified a lot of places. If Huang Fugaogan's loyalty is 100%, then Zizishuang is 500%. After all, she is a powerful person in the God King realm and needs special treatment. In addition, Yuanjie also learned a lot about the secrets of the Z family. However, the Z family was destroyed by the grandfather's group, and he didn't pay attention to it. At this time, Yuanjie came over and said, how about it, boy? Zizishuang is only 25 years old, and she is full of flowers. The physical talent is first class, and the appearance and figure are even more unique. Don't you have any ideas? Don't worry, Grandpa didn't have any contact with her, it was just a family marriage, but I rejected them. Yuanjie looked at Zizishuang. The other party lowered his head, his expression was reverent, and he looked like Rinnegan picking. He shook his head. Although the other party was indeed extremely beautiful, he was not interested. The woman who can become his Yuanjie's lifelong partner must have an emotional foundation. He is not a stallion, so one loves one. Yuanjie touched his head and was slightly speechless. Isn't this not impressive? In just tens of thousands of years, the Yuan family has developed from a small family of 1,000 people to tens of millions of people, among which the prosperity of the Yuan family has become a good story. Even if it is his little innocence, there are more than a dozen concubines. Unexpectedly, he actually gave birth to the strange Yuanjie. Yuanjie began to worry. This vein he left in the mortal world should not cut off the incense from Yuanjie, right? Feudal society pays the most attention to bloodline inheritance, especially a super family like the Yuan family. When the man was 14 or 15 years old, he was urged to start a family. The land of Yuan is vast, and even with a population of 100 billion, there is still a large amount of wasteland unexplored. What's more, in this world, the more children you have, the greater the chance of rewarding high-level physique geniuses. As long as a poor family gives birth to Yuanjie above S-level, the fate of the entire family will be changed. The previous dynasty formulated a policy of promoting marriage and birth. Contrary to the ancient times in the previous life, this world stipulated that men must marry 17, and if there were men in the household who were single over the age, the endowment would be tripled. When the man reaches the age of 19, the government will take the initiative to assign you a target. At that time, when the official of Jianghe Guofu brought a beautiful woman to the door, he found that it was Li Tiansha who opened the door, so he mistakenly thought that the two were that kind of relationship, so he urged a sentence of you to hurry up and register, and left. Therefore, it is no exaggeration to say that when Yuanjie was studying, he was really the only single male dog. Because both of his parents died, according to the law, orphans were temporarily not required to pay their gifts until they were 15 years old. Later, when Yuanjie turned 17, Yuanjie took the welfare bonus issued by the Six-Dao Academy every month and silently helped him pay the singleness tax for 3 years. After Yuanjie came to power, he did not change the previous dynasty's policy on marriage promotion, although he is a modern person, but the world is a feudal society, and the national customs and people are different. The marriage system that he or Yisuking can't accept doesn't mean that he wants to change. But the problem ensued. Now Yuanjie is 21 years old and has never been married. If he were a mortal man, more than 20 years old and not started a family, he would definitely be arrested and imprisoned, but he is now the emperor. The ministers are both anxious and helpless, so you are the king of a country, you have to be a good example, right? As a direct elder, Yuanjie is more anxious than anyone. Originally, he pulled Yuanjie over to subdue Zizishuang, which had another meaning. Since you and I missed it back then marry my grandson. Yuanjie was speechless. After he returned to the Byakugan palace, he found Aunt Xiaonan, hoping that she could do a good job of his grandson's ideological work. Xiaonan smiled nonchalantly. I won't force my brother, it's best for him not to marry a wife and concubine for the rest of his life, so that I can be by his side in an upright manner. Yuanjie, he thought to himself, is this person seriously ill? Is Yuanjie your brother? Strictly speaking, he is your 4th generation of descendants. What brother is not a brother? Don't dream, your brother died early. Yuanjie took Zizishuang out of the alien space, and from then on, there was no secret forest in that place. His first spiritual power test became a swan song. Because the secret forest is the magic weapon of Zixishuang, Tianqiangjing. When Zizishuang left, he reluctantly looked at the space. Himself there, has been there for more than 100,000 years. Back at the Byakugan palace, Yisuking greeted him, and found that Yuanjie brought back a frosty beauty with a beautiful country. Her face was instantly even colder than Zizishuang. Don't get me wrong, she's a slave of my God King realm, her own person. Yisuking pulled out a black staff from the void and sneered, yo, still play the maid set, right? Don't be cranky. After Yisuking heard the explanation, he put down his staff. She ran over and hugged his arm and coquettishly said, tonight, I want to sleep in your room. Yuanjie touched her head and said, okay, good, but I warn you, be honest, otherwise don't blame me for being dishonest. Yisuking blinked his eyes and asked innocently, why don't you want to be honest? Late at night, Li Tiansha returned to the palace, and he saw that the lights in Yuanjie's dormitory were on, and thought that he should come back. One thing about living in the palace is that the place is too big to hear the footsteps, and I don't know when he will come home. She was used to the days of waiting for him to come home on the couch every night and then waking up in her own bed. But now, everything has changed. She knew that he and she would never go back to that time. Nothing was said all night. At 7 o'clock in the morning, Li Tiansha came to Yuanjie's dormitory as usual, knocked lightly on the door, and called, Brother Ji, it's time to get up. After a while, the door opened. Li Tian was stunned. Could it be that they were last night? From now on, you don't need to tell him to get up. You know, she'd been waking him up for 10 years. Suddenly, one day, he didn't need me anymore. Chapter 239. When he saw Li Tiansha bowing his head and leaving, the corners of Yisuking's mouth couldn't help but rise. She thought that the other party had retreated in spite of the difficulties, but in fact, Li Tiansha thought so. The eldest lady naturally has more opportunities, so please take care of Brother Ji. Yuanjie looked hazy and touched the pillow. The temperature was still there, but the person was gone. He suddenly woke up and saw Yisuking looking at him with a smile. Why did you get up so early? He remembered that in a previous life, he had always woken her up. What time is it? It's 8:30. I'm blanching. Yuanjie quickly jumped up, and there were still 15 minutes to go up. At the same time, he wondered, why didn't he come and call him to get up this morning? He washed and dressed as quickly as he could, and Yisuking stood behind him, straightening his long hair. I found that your clothes fit well. That's the dragon robe. Can it not fit? Who did it? Yuanjie choked. He remembered that Yu Menghan personally took the ruler to measure him, and a month later, she handed him 3 sets of dragon robes with her haggard face. He noticed that every finger on her hand was covered with bandages. Now that I think about it, are these 3 sets of clothing all embroidered by her stitch and thread? During the day, she oversaw the construction of Sharingan, and at night, she made dragon robes tailored for him, and I don't know what time it was. Every thread of silk wrapped around her heart. The special physique that should be indestructible, no matter how powerful the attack is, cannot hurt her in the slightest. But now he was injured by the dragon-embroidered phoenix for him. Yuanjie sighed and was silent. "Can I go and see?" After dressing up, Yusuking hugged him from behind. "Yes, but you want to be the eldest princess." "No, I don't want to be the eldest princess," Yusuking pouted. "Another day, I'll go to the Yu family and customize a set of queen clothes." "Yuanjie, you are too defiant like this, right?" Unfortunately, compassion and liking cannot be combined together. He knew that Yu Menghan had done a lot for him silently, but, "I'll just hide in the shadows and watch you quietly," just like before. Yuanjie didn't stop her, it was her choice. Since she wanted to debut in the image of the mother world, then he respected her. In the past, Emperor Yuan came earlier than all the ministers, but today, he pinched over. "Meet Emperor Yuan, my Emperor Wonan." The ministers slapped their sleeves twice before saluting. Yuanjie nodded. Everyone loves Queen Flat. After the courtiers got up in an orderly manner, the maid shouted loudly, "The big one declares the cloth, the younger one has the playbook, and the table plays." At this time, Shangshu of the military department stepped forward and said, "Your Majesty, the aircraft carrier you harvested some time ago, now the disassembly and research of the science and technology officers of my dynasty is progressing rapidly, and in 3 days, the rebuilding plan will be implemented." Yuanjie knows what his purpose is when he says this, and he is undoubtedly asking for money and money. He replied, "You have done a good job, Hube Shangshu. Immediately allocate 1 million gold spirit coins from the national treasury to fully support the rebuilding plan, and Marshal Li, you send tens of millions of soldiers to assist in the work." Hube Shangshu and Marshal Li said in unison, "Oh." Bingbu Shangshu wiped the cold sweat on his forehead. Originally he just wanted a startup capital of 2 or 3 trillion gold spirit coins, but he didn't expect Yuan Wang to be so arrogant. A wave of his hand is 1 trillion, his pressure is so great. Trillions, all can buy dozens of aircraft carriers. Everyone was on him, and he trembled and gave thanks. Shangshu of the Ministry of Rights continued, "Emperor Qi Yuan, the envoy of the Flying Eagle country, strongly requests to have a face-to-face dialogue with you." Yuanjie frowned and was displeased. "How can a random cat and dog chat with me? I, the emperor, have time to entertain him? When a foreign country comes, only the kingship is qualified to be received by me." This is the first fire sent by Yuanjie, and the ministers thought that Yuan Wang was a very good talker. Unexpectedly, he will also point out the problems in your work. However, is Emperor Yuan not right? Receiving foreign envoys is the job of the Ministry of Rights. It is true that a random messenger should not be qualified to come to meet the Sharingan emperor. In short, they don't deserve it. Shangshu of the Ministry of Rights' face turned pale. He should be the first minister in the Manchu dynasty to be scolded, right? He knelt down with sincere trepidation. Asking Emperor Yuan to forgive his sins is a poor consideration of Wei Chen. Yuanjie waved his hand and said, "That's it, you call him up. I'd like to see what every other dog can spit out of his mouth." Then a blonde and blue-eyed messenger ascended the court. The other party's expression was very arrogant, with an invincible eyebrow, and he stood there with his waist crossed. Daring, see me towards the emperor, why don't you kneel? The messenger said disdainfully, "I, the people of the DuPont family of the Flying Eagle country, do not kneel to the barbarians. They are used to the high spirits of the Flying Eagle country, and they have always been this lofty posture since the previous dynasty. For hundreds of years, their flying eagles have been provoking Yuan, robbing people and land to grab resources, and doing everything they can are bullied to the head, but Zhang Maofang will only bend for everything." It was precisely because of the weakness of Zhang Maofang that the image of the former dynasty plummeted. Almost all countries, big and small, dare to sanction them at will, and they still swallow their anger. However, Yulei forgot that now it is not the former dynasty, but Xian'an. Before he finished speaking, he felt a cold neck, and after a burst of dizziness, why did he see his feet? Strangely, not a drop of blood came out of the messenger's body. The whole person turned into an ice sculpture, and a gust of wind blew through, shattering. Yuanjie had been sitting on the dragon chair, his face expressionless. No one knows who made the move and cut off the heads of the Gentiles. This person is too rude. Throw the body out, and let the Flying Eagle country send some people who understand the number of manners over. At this time, the heavy ministers found out that Emperor Yuan did not know when there was an extra maid with a beautiful country. Her body was covered with frost, as if she had just come out of an ice cave. The flying tiger general secretly spied on her cultivation, and Zizishang's gaze moved to him, resulting in him suffocating a mouthful of blood. This man is so strong, far more powerful than the Great Knight. On the other side, the Flying Eagle country. What do you say? They killed Ire, the Flying Eagle country lord asked in disbelief. Yes, Lord, photos and videos have been sent, we have confirmed, it is El Dupont. His subordinates reported with great grief. Since the establishment of the Langsing All Nations Alliance, no one has ever beheaded them. What do they want to do? This act is completely stepping on their Flying Eagle's end. Subsequently, the Flying Eagle country issued a long article, seriously accusing Pyongyang of such violent behavior, and the world should be blamed. International practice, the two countries contend, do not cut each other. But the Flying Eagle Great Xia dynasty has been in friendly exchanges for hundreds of years, and the purpose of this action is not pure. The Flying Eagle country believes that this is a serious provocation by the Tianyuan dynasty against the Flying Eagle, and it was Tianyuan who personally tore up the peace and friendship treaty. The tirade shocked the countries. Tianyuan changed, and he was no longer the humble son, who was tolerant in everything. Immediately afterwards, the Tianyuan dynasty officially released a video in which Ray DuPont claimed that Tianyuan was a barbarian land. Under the video, it aroused the discussion of netizens in various countries. Don't rush to cover your hat first. Is it because the Flying Eagle envoy does not respect my dynasty, and if he doesn't kill him, he will keep it for the new year? You are too cruel. People are obviously so handsome. Why? The network Virgin dispatched. It is not polite to come and go. I said that the Flying Eagle men are fine dogs. Who is against it? Chapter 240. The scolding war on the internet did not last long. Because the video was deleted by the website of the Flying Eagle country, even the registered accounts in the Tianyuan region were all banned. It is particularly funny that the Flying Eagle country, which has always held high the banner of freedom of speech, would actually do such a thing. Not only that, the painters of the Flying Eagle country also shaped the Sharingan Emperor Yuanjie into the image of the demon Satan. Some media turned on the program and ridiculed Yuanjie, saying that he was just a young child and did not know how to be high and thick. Some experts analyzed that if the two countries of Flying Eagle and Pyongyang went to war, what would be the winning rate? Oh God, I don't know why you asked such a stupid question. Isn't the result obvious? I agree with Jamie's point of view. The Flying Eagle country has high-tech equipment far beyond Pyongyang, the sea and air carriers that Pyongyang does not have. We have Aurora cannons that Pyongyang does not have. We have war armor that Pyongyang does not have. We have. At this time, Jack, who was sitting on the side, retorted, Bezin, have you forgotten that thermal weapons are useless against alpha-level powerhouses, and our alpha-level powerhouses are less than half of Tianyuan? The Flying Eagle country divides the realm differently, gamma level, beta level, and alpha level, corresponding to the gradual convergence realm, fusion realm, and great evening realm respectively. When Jamie heard this, he scoffed, so what? Their alpha powerhouses are scattered among the major families and can't fight together at all, unlike us Flying Eagles, all gathered in the three major families. Jack continued to maintain a worried look. I heard that Tianyuan has a strong person who is even more powerful than Alpha. I don't know if it's true or not. Besson laughed. Do you believe the rumors? Jack stopped talking. He didn't believe it, and that's how his character on the show came out and said the opposite. The people of the Flying Eagle country who watched the show fell into a burst of joy and celebrated a new year ahead of schedule. However, just as they were laughing breathlessly, the garrison base closest to the Sharingan dynasty in the Flying Eagle country welcomed three uninvited guests at this time. Yuanjie took Zizishang and Yi Suking and crossed tens of thousands of miles through the time and space channel in one step to come to this area. The radar of the Flying Eagle country immediately detected the three people, and the alarm was raised in the base. Fact, don't let people have a good year? Can't afford to play, now engage in a sneak attack. Whether it was an enemy attack is not clear. Only 3 people flying in the air were seen. Is that Admiral Lafric's alarm lock you? Some generals scolded, and the content of law was extremely high. Admiral Gale picked up the telescope and looked at the sky with a solemn face. Sharingan people, Tianyuan did a good job of protecting Yuanjie, and the foreign countries couldn't find any pictures of him at all, so they couldn't recognize him. These 2 Sharingan women are extremely beautiful. Admiral Gale couldn't help but lick his lips. Inside the base, fighters took off, and all the cannons aimed at the three of Yuanjie. As soon as they have the next move, attack immediately. It's quite discreet. Yisuking smiled. She swiped the void, summoned the army of the undead, and said coldly, no matter how cautious the ants are, they are always ants, and they can't escape the tragic fate of being trampled by giant elephants. Summoning the army of the undead is a new skill that Yisuking has promoted to the Phaseless Realm Academy. In an area, all the revenants crawl out from the ground and give them a certain level of power. The revenant can only be seen, but it cannot be killed, like a cut in a cloud of smoke, and it can quickly resume its reorganization. The undead army has a relatively simple means of attack, usually melee combat, or possessing enemy forces and allowing them to kill each other. However, due to its immortal characteristics, it is extremely difficult to deal with. What is even more exaggerated is that there is a probability that the ancient revenants who died here can be summoned, and they have a part of their strength before their death and can use their skills before death. The tens of thousands of undead army let out a scalp-numbing scream and rushed towards the soldiers in the garrison base of the Flying Eagle country. Admiral Gale immediately ordered the fighters in the air and the artillery on the ground to attack. However, I never expected that the fighter just took off and fired a missile, and in the next second, Zishuang stretched out his right hand and squeezed it tightly. Absolute zero, the thousands of enemy aircraft in the air instantly solidified into ice. Even the missiles that had just been launched into the air were frozen. One enemy aircraft and missiles fell to the ground, causing a violent explosion. Countless Flying Eagle soldiers were buried in the fire. Although Zishuang is only infinitely close to the SSS-level physique, he can't liven people's cultivation to reach the sky. She had just come out of the secret forest, and even though she was suppressed by the heavenly Dao, due to the short suppression time, she still maintained the supreme combat power of the true realm. P.S. Great Evening Realm, Phaseless Realm, Celestial Phenomenon Realm, Return to Mortal Realm, True Realm, God King Realm. This scene deeply shocked everyone present. Even Yisuking looked at Zishuang in surprise. This is a base of 100,000 square meters, and at this moment, everything in the air is frozen. Even the mosquitoes flying in the air are not spared. Admiral Gale's scalp was numb now, and he was sure that the three people in front of him were not ordinary people. There are not only women in black who can summon an army of the undead, but also women in white who can freeze everything into ice sculptures in an instant. Since both women are so powerful, what about the man? Before he could give an order, white flags lit up all over the base surrendered. They are just mortals in the flesh, and with thermal weapons they have the possibility of fighting mutants. But it doesn't mean that they can beat alpha-level mutants. P.S. The Flying Eagle country calls those whose physique awakens mutants. Admiral Gale's face sank. It was true that he was an artificial mutant, but his level did not reach the alpha level. But at this moment, I have to stand up and negotiate with the other side. Thinking of this, he drank loudly, and his whole body became steely. Only in this way could he have that damned sense of security. He spoke Yuan dialect that was not very fluent and talked to the three people in the air. Who is your excellency? Why do you want to make a move against the garrison base of my Flying Eagle country? Yuanjie looked down, and in a moment, the power of the heavenly hand was transferred to Admiral Gale. It seems that you don't know me, so let me introduce myself. I'm the Sharingan Emperor you say you are talking about, the Sharingan Emperor who doesn't even have a hair. Admiral Gale must not have been steeled at this moment, otherwise cold sweat would definitely break out on his head. Damn. The group of FARC media people will only hide in the rear and lie, and all the pain will be borne by their soldiers on the front line. He laughed and said, misunderstanding, all misunderstanding. Yuanjie said disdainfully, is it a misunderstanding? I see that you have not been beaten by society, so I don't know how naive you are. Yuanjie turned to leave, and Admiral Gale wanted to say something, but found that black flames burned on his body. He rolled on the ground in agony, trying to extinguish Amaterasu. Yuanjie flew back into the air and blessed Xiu to transmit the sound path towards 1,000,000 miles. Our city garrison base was destroyed by my Emperor Sharingan. If you are not satisfied, just come to Xianjing to find me. Only a vast forest and sea snowfield was left, burying the entire garrison base. Chapter 241. 3 days passed, and the Flying Eagle country remained silent in a rare way. Even the extranet is peaceful, but there are many slander and ridicule about Tianyuan. In fact, the people of Tianyuan did not know what happened. The whole Langsing, as if nothing had happened. There was 1 day left before the new year, and Yuanjie gave the ministers 7 days off, and the 7th day of the first year attended the rooster ceremony on time. Today is Chinese New Year's Eve. Yuanjie dismissed the maids in the palace and let them go home for the new year. "Make dumplings," shouted Yuanjie, and everyone walked out of the room. Yuanjie just made 5 shadow doppelgangers, and then was knocked on the head by Grandpa Yuanshan. At this important moment, no spells are allowed. Oh. Yi Suking took the initiative to come to his side and squeezed into the same chair as him. Her gaze glanced at Li Tiansha from time to time. After sleeping together in the past few days, Yi Suking knew that Yuanjie still couldn't let go of that person. As soon as he said Li Tiansha's 3 words, his face immediately became cold. Moreover, last night, he took the initiative to talk to himself a lot about Li Tiansha. Li Tiansha, who said that this world is not a substitute for that world. He really likes Li Tiansha here. Not only her efforts let him see himself in the past, but his heart that touched him the most was understanding. He wouldn't give up on her no matter what. Yi Suking silently asked, "Then are you going to abandon me?" Yuanjie hugged her tightly and said, "Children make choices." She bit his shoulder hard, even bleeding. But she didn't speak, but she thought in her heart, "Think beautiful. Smelly man." Yi Suking knows his habits very well. He is a very stubborn person. As long as he is not willing, then no one can force him. If she is so aggressive again, it will definitely affect the relationship between the two. So, she chose to surround Wei to save Zhao. Since Yuanjie's side couldn't come hard, then she forced Li Tiansha to take the initiative to give up until she left. Of course, she would not do such a subterranean means of force and intimidation. Recently, she has shown affection in front of Li Tiansha from time to time, making the other party look uncomfortable. Yuanshan looked at everyone and always felt that something was missing. Then he patted his head. By the way, there was a missing granddaughter-in-law. So, he ran next to Yuanjie, pulled the other party's trouser leg, and said crisply, "Good son, I order you to invite Yuanjie over." After this period of investigation, he found that the beautiful girl with SSS-level physique was actually interesting to her grandson. It's just that this grandson is a piece of wood, push and move. As a grandfather, he has to shoot. Yuanjie frowned after hearing this. "Grandpa, this is not appropriate, right? Today is Chinese New Year's Eve. People have their own family banquet." Yuanjie made a face, raised his little powder fist and threatened, "Are you going or not?" Yi Suking on the side gritted her teeth with hatred. Li Tiansha was enough for her to have a headache, and she also found a Yuanjie. Men are all stringent, although she and he have 2 lifetimes of love, but who can say for sure? Yuanshan suddenly felt a strange breath, and when he turned around, he saw Yi Suking staring at him with wide eyes. He smiled meaningfully. "Xiao Yi. You are the descendant of the Yi family of the 12 guardian spirit family. Since my grandson chose you, I am very happy. You two can be regarded as the right family. However, as the eldest lady, you should have the heart of the eldest lady, you know." Yi Suking replied with a cold face, "Got it, Grandpa." Now she knows that the biggest enemy is not Li Tiansha, but this grandfather who has been reborn from the soil. The devil knows where he came from later to find a wife for Yuanjie. After Yuanshan left, Susa walked to her, patted her shoulder sympathetically, and sighed. "Look at the opening point. Since you can't resist, then learn to enjoy. Actually, aren't there just a few more sisters?" Susa really sympathizes with her. Yuanshan is a monster. Even in her heyday, she can't defeat him with certainty. Yi Suking pouted aggrievedly, daring to love the whole world about her a strange thing, right? She felt that no one supported her, even 2 good girlfriends persuaded her like this. Why travel to this strange world? Yuanjie Fei Thunder God flashed to the door of Yu's house and knocked lightly. The Yu family guards saw him when they opened the door, and they quickly knelt down in fright. "Kaomin, meet Emperor Yuan." Yuanjie helped him up. "No need to be polite. Is your eldest lady at home?" The guard froze. "You looking for my eldest miss?" The guards hurriedly rushed back and shouted, "Miss Yu, the emperor is looking for you." After a while, a woman came out, but Yuanjie had never seen her. The little woman meets Emperor Yuan. She was very happy, knowing that Emperor Yuan personally came to the Yu family to find herself, and thought that she could get Emperor Yuan's favor. "What about Yu Meng'an?" The woman was stunned. Didn't she come to find herself? Self-inflicted amorousness. Yuanjie touched his nose, but he didn't expect to see her for 2 months, and he was all mixed with the head of the Yu family, and time passed so quickly. He leaned against the door panel to play with his mobile phone, when a faint fragrance of roses broke into his body. Menghan sees Emperor Yuan. Yu Menghan put her hands on her waist and saluted slightly. After many days, it seems that she has more charm, like a ripe peach. Yuanjie nodded and opened the time-space passage beside the two. My grandfather asked me to invite you to the palace to eat dumplings. Huh? Yu Meng uncovered her small mouth in shock, her beautiful eyes full of incredulity. Seeing the other party's casual appearance, didn't he know the meaning of inviting her over? Yu Meng lowered her head. Even if it was snowing, her face was still red. Emperor Yuan, please wait a moment, I will go back and give 2 orders to the clansmen. Yuanjie nodded, and he didn't go in. Yu Menghan happily shook her hand and ran back, and even almost fell. Yuanjie was not far away, and the white eyes kept observing her silhouette, without saying much. Soon, Yu Menghan came out. Emperor Yuan, I'm ready. Yuanjie nodded, took a step ahead, and stepped into the passage of time and space with half a foot. Wait a minute, Emperor Yuan. Yu Menghan pulled him, he was puzzled. I want to sit down with your flying thunder god, can I? Yuanjie was a big line, he touched his head, not knowing why the other party would ask for this. Is the time-space channel bad, fast and convenient? Suddenly, a soft body hugged him from behind, and the fragrance of roses became even stronger. Yu Menghan's pretty face was tightly pressed against Yuanjie's back, and whispered, Emperor Yuan, I'm ready. Yuanjie finally understood. No wonder he wanted to fly the thunder god. He suppressed the nameless fire, his body softened, and he turned on the 6 modes to let the warm scient flame dispel the chill. Sit tight, good. Several scient flashes in a row, in the sparsely populated Sharingan, constantly shuttling. Together with the fireworks booming in the sky, it forms the most beautiful scenery. Chapter 242. Brother Jay was a little flustered, he was very distressed. Behind, feeling that Yu Menghan was hugging too tightly, he was a little breathless, so he secretly used 6 coats to isolate the distance between the two. At the very least, not that kind of skin-to-skin affinity. Fortunately, the flying thunder god was very fast, and he jumped 15 times to reach the palace. Xiaonan took the lead in greeting the past, and the two established a deep girlfriend relationship when they were exterminating beasts in the south, and she held each other's hands, so that the somewhat restrained Yu Menghan quickly fused in. Yuanjie touched his nose helplessly, and he returned to his place to continue making dumplings. Yi Suking came over, and Xiaoqiang's nose shrugged slightly. You smell of her perfume on you. Yuanjie was stunned, he sniffed, is there any? Yu Menghan is the most fragrant woman he has ever met, not the smell of cosmetics and shower gel, but a natural rose body fragrance. Yi Suking frowned in dissatisfaction, but she didn't say anything. She knew that Yuanjie didn't mean anything else about that Yu Menghan, and if she exported it, there might be a backlash. Fortunately, Li Tiansha sat quite far away from them, which made Yi Suking's heart slightly more comfortable. 8 people worked together and it was soon completed. Yuanjie strongly requested that dumplings be cooked over an open flame, saying that it would taste like fireworks. Yuanjie glanced at the other party strangely. Grandpa, can your reincarnated body eat food? Zishuang specially built an igloo in the yard. Even though the snow was flying outside, everyone in the igloo could not feel the slightest chill. Except for Li Tiansha, they are all big guys in the late realm and above, and this low temperature is not a problem. Yuanjie looked at the hot pot of dumplings and smelled the fragrance from afar. I have to boast that Li Tiansha's cooking skills are really good, and the dumpling filling is all prepared by her. Li Tiansha scooped up a bowl of dumplings and placed it in front of Yuanjie. Brother Ji, your dumplings. It's your dumplings. Yi Suking held a bowl of dumplings in each hand, let the spirit object hidden in the void, moved Li Tiansha's share, and she put a bowl of dumplings in front of Yuanjie. Xiaoji, eat mine. Li Tiansha didn't care, she silently brought back the dumplings. Yuanjie just picked up the chopsticks, but was glared at by Yi Suking. You go wash your hands first, I eat with chopsticks, not with my hands. Well, obedient. Brother Ji was helpless, he walked out of the igloo. Yi Suking looked at Li Tiansha triumphantly, the corners of his mouth slightly raised, as if showing off. Don't fight with me, if you can't fight, he only listens to me alone. Li Tiansha felt inexplicable, she didn't want to compete for the position of the eldest lady, as long as she could live with Brother Ji. Yi Suking didn't know that her every move was actually misunderstood. From that tsundere unique to modern women. Yuanjie washed his hands and came back, just picked up the chopsticks, and was reprimanded by Yuanjie again. What's the hurry? Make a wish before eating. Today is Chinese New Year's Eve night, the most special day of the year for the people of Tianyuan. Every family hung red lanterns and ate hot water dumplings. Every day, the children who are wandering away will find ways to return home, reunite with their families, and enjoy Chinese New Year's Eve and dinner. This world is different from the previous life, and before the Chinese New Year's Eve meal starts, everyone at the table has to make a wish. It's a ritual, and it's said to be particularly magical. As an elder, Yuanjie coughed twice and spoke first. I've actually been dead for many years, and I'm still able to spend a Chinese New Year's Eve night with my family in 100,000 years, and to be honest, I'm surprised and very happy. Saying that, he looked at his grandson Yuanjie with satisfaction. This descendant gave him too many surprises, so he placed considerable hopes on Yuanjie. I hope that my good grandson can start a family as soon as possible and open branches for the Yuan family, and I will have the opportunity to reunite with my eldest brothers and sisters in the upper realm in the future. All the people present, except for Yu Menghan, have a happy family. All of them are orphans, so they can especially understand Yuanjie's mood at this moment. Strictly speaking, Yu Menghan's current mother is not her biological mother, she is actually an orphan abandoned by the times. It is the same kind of person as Yisuking, Li Tiansha, Xiaonan, Su Su, and Zizishuang. They also feel homesick and want to be reunited with their loved ones. Xiaonan patted Yuanjie's little hand. She was from the same era as him, only he died, and she was still alive. Grandpa. Yuanjie was moved by Yuanjie's sincere words, and he called softly. Unexpectedly, Yuanjie glared at him. Don't call me Grandpa, you are all emperors. Hurry up and ask Laozi for a few beautiful wives and give birth to a group of big fat dolls. Yuanjie is speechless. How can this also be related to the birth of marriage? Xiaonan recalled that back then, her brother tricked her into playing hide and let her enter the secret realm. Unexpectedly, that time, it was a parting of life and death. At that time, the Yuan family was experiencing the biggest crisis in history, and the Terrans, beasts and even orcs united to fight against the Yuan family. At that time, her brother was forced to participate in the war. Listening to Yuanjie, that battle was fought in the dark. The Yuan family fell a lot of top combat power, her brother was not spared, and blood spilled into the void. She still remembered what her brother said to her before leaving, especially gentle and with pampering in her eyes. Well, Xiaonan, you hide first, and after your brother counts dozens of them, I will go to you. I didn't expect that it would be hundreds of thousands of years. Xiaonan looked at Yuanjie, who was very similar to his brother in his previous life, and had mixed feelings. I hope that in this life, my brother will never leave me again. Yuanjie's purple eyes met Xiaonan's eyes, and he stayed in place. Because he seemed to see that behind Xiaonan, there was a white-haired man figure very similar to himself, smiling and nodding at him. His eyes are actually white? They seem to have horns. After Xiaonan made a wish, it was Susu's turn. Susu's wish is simple, that is, to know the reason why the elven race was exterminated hundreds of thousands of years ago. Yuanjie found that Yuanjie opened his mouth, but did not say anything. It's bad. Could it be that the extinction of the elf clan is related to the Yuan family? Yu Menghan looked around for a week, and she found that there were many people present who couldn't understand the cultivation of her. For example, the mysterious Grandpa Yuanjie, Yuanjie, and Susu and Zizishuang, who were sitting next to her. She felt that only her own cultivation was the lowest and most useless. As for Li Tiansha, Yu Menghan never looked down on her. She didn't believe that shallow was an F-grade physique, only a fool believed it. Could an F-class physique make such a powerful attack? Her emotional intelligence was high, and she quickly closed her eyes and made a wish. I want the rest of my life to be with the people I love and the people who love me forever. When she said this, she closed her eyes, did not name names, and did not insinuate. Everyone should only be a pure love girl's vision of beautiful love. Even Yisuking couldn't find anything wrong. Who stipulates that the person who loves can only be a partner, not a parent and relative? On Yu Menghan's left hand, sitting Zizishuang, ignored her. Next to Zizishuang, that is, Yuanjie's right hand, sat Li Tiansha. All eyes were on her, expecting what wish she would make on this special day. Chapter 243. Li Tiansha was watched by everyone and lowered his head shyly. She reverently clasped her hands, closed her eyes and said softly, I hope that our family will never be separated again. The speaker of this sentence has no intention, the listener has intention. Except for Susan and that puppet Ziza Shuang, the others who are not pregnant with the ghosts. Yuanjie smiled and thought to himself, family, it must be a family, you must call me grandpa. Zionan narrowed his eyes and thought, if you want to be my sister-in-law, you have to pass my level first. Yu Menghan looked calm, and wondered in her heart, is this a sister or a sister? As for Yi Suking, she was indifferent. How could she not understand Li Tiansha's wish? Even though Yi Suking was not angry in her heart, she didn't say much, thinking in her heart what method should be used to let her take the initiative to leave. On Li Tiansha's left, sat Yuanjie. When it was his turn, Yuanjie didn't think about it, and said directly, I experienced too many regrets in my last life, and I hope that in this life, regrets will not come to me again. When everyone heard this, curiosity arose in their hearts. After Yuanjie finished speaking, he recovered his demeanor and did not say much. Finally, there was Yi Suking, who first glanced at Li Tiansha, followed by Yu Menghan. She first took Yuanjie's arm and said affectionately, I hope Xiaoji can be the same as in his previous life, only love me alone, only belong to me, right, Xiaoji? Yuanjie was stunned. Sister, what are you doing? He didn't know how to answer. You know, if you miss Li Tiansha in this life, it will be a pity for him. If he says yes, the wish he made just now is not warm, and it will be cold immediately. If he said no, in front of so many people, he slapped Yi Suking in the face, and the two crossed 2 lifetimes to get back into a good relationship, and there would be an instant crack. As soon as these words came out, everyone looked different. Everyone's eyes are rolling, proving that the heart is churning. At this time, someone immediately came out to relieve the siege. Okay, maybe the wish is over, it's time to eat dumplings. While it's hot, don't be cold. Everything happened between electric flint, and Yuanjie breathed a sigh of relief. He picked up a piece of dumpling and put it in Yi Suking's mouth. Although he didn't get an answer from the other party, Yuanjie told her the answer with actions, and Yi Suking looked at Li Tiansha triumphantly. Li Tian was shallow and insensitive. She blew carefully, took a small bite, and the juice flowed into her mouth. At this time, she found that there was a piece of dumpling in her bowl that Yuanjie had clipped over, and she was stunned. This sneaky action was naturally put in Yi Suking's eyes, and she glared at Yuanjie with dissatisfaction. Yuanjie then sandwiched a dumpling for his grandfather and Xiaonan, and Yuanjie couldn't close his mouth with a smile. It's all a family, eat whatever you want. Yi Suking stopped attacking, just a little angry, and quietly twisted Yuanjie's soft meat under the table. After scooping a bowl of dumplings, Yuanjie took out a bottle of wine from the space ring. Come, good grandson, let's have 2 drinks, good. Yuanjie did not refuse. The wine of this world is too light, without the rich aroma and height of the previous life. Even if he didn't have to cultivate, he could feel that he couldn't fall over 1,000 cups. 2 men sit and drink, while the women are small groups with their own monographs. Xiaonan found Yu Menghan to chat, because among this group of women, only Yu Menghan did not show that she wanted to be her sister-in-law, and Xiaonan looked at her particularly pleasantly. Yu Menghan leaned over and quietly asked, so, Sister Yuan and Brother Ji, what's going on? Xiaonan looked at Yi Suking, who was eating dumplings alone over there, and said, people are not called Yuanjie now, she is a descendant of the Yi family, the 12 guardian gods of our Yuan family, and her name is Yi Suking. Yu Menghan pretended to be surprised. Isn't there a blood relationship between the two? So it is. Yu Menghan nodded thoughtfully. By the way, I remember you and Yi Suking, it's this name, right? Xiaonan snorted. The two had been living in the Void Castle before, and the sisterhood at that time was quite good. It's just that later when she learned that Yi Suking actually didn't want to be her sister, but wanted to be her own sister-in-law, everything changed. She snorted coldly. The woman of the small vassal family has not yet become the head mother of the Yuan family, so she dictates to the man of the Yuan family. I can't get used to her. It's normal for Xiaonan to have this kind of thought. She is a well-rooted Yuan family, and since she was a child, she has thought that the people of the 12 guardian spirit family are inferiors. The eldest lady of the big family is used to it, and it is normal to have this kind of thinking. After Yu Menghan heard this, she closed her mouth in understanding. Her emotional intelligence was very high. Su found Yi Suking and talked to her. Yi, there is a sentence I don't know whether to say or not. Yi Suking raised her head. She was a little impatient. How come people in this world want to persuade themselves one by two? Is it wrong for me to ask my lover to belong only to me? After seeing her appearance, Susa stopped talking. She knew some things about the other party's previous life. I also know that Yusuke will definitely not be willing to succumb to the world's view of marriage and love. She was especially understanding, because the elves, like her previous life, were monogamous. The difference is that the elves are inbred for the sake of pure blood. If it were her, she might not react as fiercely as Yusuke, but she would definitely not be comfortable in her heart. I'm not trying to persuade you to compromise with the world, but to make you less impulsive. Although I have never been in a relationship, I read that in the novel, the woman is too tough, which is likely to affect the harmony between the husband and wife. Your marriage to his past life can be renewed in this life, and I am truly happy for you. I don't want you to have any regrets in this life, you know. Yusuke blushed. It seemed that only Susu could understand herself. She hugged Susu a little. She is fighting against the whole world, but there is still someone standing by her side to support her, which is precious. Yu Menghun chatted with Xionan, and she saw that Li Tiansha was alone, so she walked over and sat in Yuanjie's place. Shallow, the dumpling filling you made tonight is delicious. Praise first at the beginning, close the distance between the two, and show that their contact has no purpose. Li Tiansha's heart defense relaxed, and she smiled sweetly at the other party. Can you teach me how to cook a good meal? If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 244. Yu Menghun smiled and listened to Li Tiansha explain cooking there, nodding and asking from time to time, just like a studious elementary school student. She's really too good to make people nasty. Originally, when Li Tiansha was in the south, she saw Yu Menghun seemingly approaching Brother Ji intentionally or unintentionally, and she felt a little uncomfortable at that time. Now I contact again, but I find that the other party is really super good. Not only is she very soft-spoken, making people very comfortable to listen to, but she is also understanding, and she has never seen her angry. No matter who she faces, she will smile in return. After chatting for a long time, Li Tiansha said to her with a shallow face, I'm sorry, Sister Menghun, I misunderstood you before. Yu Menghun knew what the other party meant by the misunderstanding. She thought to herself, you really didn't misunderstand, but you couldn't see it. She held Li Tiansha's little hand and said gently, it's okay, it's all over. She echoed in her heart, maybe you and I can become sisters in the future. Yu Menghun glanced at Zizishuang beside Li Tiansha, and couldn't help but be shocked. Isn't this the mysterious woman in the first spiritual power exam? She had had brief contact with the other party during the exam. It's just that the other party can't help her. Although Zizishuang was replaced by other gods, she still retained her self-awareness, and she looked at Yu Menghun curiously. Sister, don't you remember me? Yu Menghun walked over with a smile, twisted her fingers, and a rose appeared in her hand. Zizishuang was stunned. She remembered. She had a deep impression of this girl surrounded by rose petals. She is a God King realm power, but she is helpless against a little ant in the fusion realm. So it's you? Yu Menghun narrowed her eyes and smiled. Yes, it turns out that my sister still remembers me. Xionan was drinking a drink on the side, and seeing that Yu Menghun was actually chatting hotly with a woman who was as cold as ice, he couldn't help but take a sip. Good fellow, I really have yours. Is this the social count disease mentioned by my brother? Yu Menghun became the first person in the audience to be able to chat with Zizishuang, and the best in the audience. Through the communication with Zizishuang, Yu Menghun knew that the other party was brought out by Yuanjie. Now she has become Yuanjie's maid. Maid? Yu Menghun's expression was strange. Could it be that she wanted another sister? She touched Zizishuang's skin slightly, and a bone-piercing chill struck, and her delicate body trembled. Finally, she saw Susu leave Yusuke's side, and she quickly ended the topic with Zizishuang and walked over with flowers and willows. Sister Yi. Hello. Yusuke froze. What is going on with this person? Yusuke maintained a cold appearance, even more indifferent than Zizishuang. Sister Yi, congratulations. Yu Menghun smiled and stretched out his hand. Yusuke was stunned. Muran's also stretched out his hand, and the two shook it a little. Yu Menghun blinked her eyes and said playfully, congratulations to you and Emperor Yuan. You can continue the frontier here. Yi Suking was a company executive in her previous life and read countless people, but she couldn't find any fault. In her opinion, the other party's smile and eyes are very sincere, without a trace of mockery. Thank you. She was a little awkward. Yu Menghen sat down generously. Sister Yi, I sit here, you won't mind, right? She became curious and wanted to know what tricks the other party was doing. Sister Yi, I really envy you. They all say that 100 years of cultivation and the same boat crossing, 1,000 years of cultivation to sleep together. You and Emperor Yuan, how can it be a blessing for 1,000 years? It is estimated that it is a marriage of 10,000 generations, and there is no one more suitable for him than you. The corners of Yi Suking's mouth couldn't help but rise slightly. However, she quickly calmed down. The other party may be a smiling tiger. In her previous life when negotiating business, she often met this kind of person. On the surface, I am kind to you, and I don't know when to stab you. Yi Suking narrowed her eyes and threw out a soul torture. Don't you have a heart for him? Unexpectedly, Yu Menghun admitted generously, move, such an excellent man as Emperor Yuan, which woman is not pregnant with spring? Yu Menghun's expression suddenly changed. It became very sad and a little heartache. He is like a blazing sun above the 9 heavens, and I am just a mortal grass. My status with him is too different. I am 108,000 miles away from him. I can only look up to him on the ground, greedily absorbing the warmth he brings to the world. But this sunshine does not belong to me. Yi Suking sounded strange. She said with a smile, you are not a mortal grass. Your identity is the son of the 3 major families, and like him, you are an SSS-level physique. Yu Menghun shook his head. So what? He can't look at me, and I will always be humble. Yi Suking, it hurts too much? At this time, Yu Menghun's expression, no matter who saw it, would feel pity. Why did the grass never want to chase the sun? But it couldn't do it. It had taken root and sprouted in the mortal world. It couldn't do without it, and it would wither as soon as it got out of the soil. Even if it has a chance to keep up with the sun, when it gets close, it will still be burned all over its body until it turns into a cloud of ashes. Afterwards, Yu Menghun changed back to a kind smile. Don't talk about me. I want to hear the sweet love story of Sister Yi and Emperor Yuan. Yi Suking suddenly woke up and almost caught her way. If Yu Menghun is placed in the previous life, it is definitely the level of an Oscar queen. Even Yi Suking, a veteran of the workplace, was deceived and confused. She pinned her face away, obviously not wanting to tell the other person about those things. Yu Menghun rolled her eyes, and she immediately thought of a good topic. Since I have no fate with Emperor Yuan, I hope that Sister Yi and Emperor Yuan can live and fly together and be happy until they are old. Speaking of this, Yi Suking has a nameless fire. I know what Sister Yi is worried about, but actually, I have a good way. Oh, Yi Suking's ears pricked up. She was curious what the other party could come up with. This chat is an hour. The wine over there was all drunk, and they were still talking there. Although I am reluctant, I should still say thank you to you. Yi Suking's expression was very strange. Yu Menghun still had that smile like a spring breeze. She stood up and hugged Yi Suking a little. Sister Yi, good luck. After speaking, Yu Menghun turned around and smiled self-deprecatingly. Tonight was Chinese New Year's Eve night, and everyone kept watch together until the wee hours of the morning before going back to their rooms to rest. Li Tiansha closed the door, but found that there was a rose inside the door, and when she picked it up, the rose changed into a piece of paper with the words on it, "Come out and talk." Rain also mischievously drew a small expression. Chapter 245. Yi Suking didn't know that after Yu Menghun finished her idea, she secretly found Li Tiansha, and the two plotted for most of the night. Of course, Li Tiansha is a very simple girl. She has no heart at all, and she has always been submissive. She didn't have any big goals and never wanted to compete for a fame. Her wish is simple, that is, to be able to take care of Brother Ji for a lifetime, even if she has no reputation. Yu Menghun persuaded for a long time before she reluctantly accepted and agreed to cooperate with her scheme. Li Tiansha hesitated for a long moment, and asked weakly, Sister Menghun, if you do this, it won't hurt Brother Ji, right? Brother Ji is the king of a country, and it has taken him a lot of energy to govern Sharingan. This kind of trivial harem matter, let us women solve it ourselves. There is no need to let him worry. Li Tian nodded dapperly. Yu Menghun sighed. The shallow heart is like a blank piece of paper. If it were not for yourself, it is estimated that you would be bullied into something. After Li Tiansha returned to the dormitory, he thought carefully, no, why did Sister Menghan help her? But she doesn't care, as long as Brother Ji has her place in his heart. Compared with Yi Suking, in fact, she hopes to be sisters with Yu Menghan. What that woman did, it was indeed a little annoying. Li Tiansha whispered with Yu Menghan last night until 3 o'clock in the middle of the night, and after she went back, she squinted casually for a while and got up and rubbed rice balls by hand. At 4 o'clock in the morning, Yuanjie couldn't sleep, and he remembered many people and many things. Especially Yuanjie's parents, Yuan Xiansheng and Lu Ziyan. It has been so long since this oil was reincarnated and returned, and I have not been to their grave to worship. When he walked out the door, he heard a figure flickering in the kitchen. He walked over curiously and saw Li Tiansha kneading the dough hard. For this determined granddaughter-in-law, he couldn't understand her physique. It doesn't seem like a person in this plane, who always feels strange. Grandpa Yuan. Li Tiansha heard the sound of pushing the door. She nervously withdrew her hand, and saw that Yuanjie was coming. She didn't care about wiping her hands, and hurriedly saluted. Yuanjie saw the white flowers on her face, and her pretty face was covered with flour, and he couldn't help laughing. No, I can't sleep anyway, so I want to make some hot rice balls for everyone so that they can eat when they wake up, Li Tiansha said with a sweet smile. In the recent period, Yuanjie has witnessed various scenes of Li Tiansha being bullied by Yi Suking. He seemed to see the figure of Yuanjie's mother, Lu Lianan. Back then, because her husband Yuan was born a waste, she was also a waste, and she was bullied by the family sidelines. But she didn't say a word, still silently paying a small amount for this family. Every morning at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning she got up to make breakfast. 3 meals a day are all covered by her, and everyone is enjoying it with peace of mind. Lu Lianan, the sister-in-law, should have been the honorable daughter-in-law of the Yuan family, but she lived more than a servant. I just thought that my brother and siblings were working outside, and I was just a giftless waste who could do only for this family. Her forbearance, her strength, her optimism, like Li Tiansha in front of her. Therefore, although Li Tiansha's talent is far inferior to Yi Suking, his combat effectiveness cannot even touch the skin. But Yuanjie still recognizes this simple girl, because she is like her, which is not a kind of inheritance. You continue to be busy, I'll go out for a walk first. Okay, Grandpa Yuan, you go slowly. Li Tiansha returned to his senses and continued to rub the dough. Fortunately, she exercises regularly, and this kind of physical work is very handy. At 9 o'clock in the morning, Yuanjie got up, and it was rare to sleep for a day. He wanted to get up, but he didn't expect Yi Suking to hold him firmly, and he squeezed the other party, causing a coquettish sigh. Ouch, what are you doing? Yi Suking widened her eyes and covered her chest. She gave him an amorous white look. HMPH, not honest, got up. It's 9 o'clock. In the past, when we didn't have to go to work on weekends, didn't we all sleep until 12 o'clock? Yuanjie said angrily. Can it be the same? Yi Suking hugged him, kissed him fiercely, and said with a grin, husband, you endure it first, and when we get married, I will let you please. Yuanjie pinched her side face and corrected, go to the countryside and follow the customs. Call your husband, don't call your husband, all right, my good husband. Yi Suking raised her head in embarrassment, husband, I'm hungry, get dressed and get up, I'm hungry too. After the two washed, they walked out the door and saw that everyone was up, just the latest. After all, the ancient people had no entertainment, went to bed early and got up early. Although technology has kept up in this world, there are no game companies, and mobile phones are generally only used for communication. Early. The group sat at the dining table, but Yuanjie found that there was one less person. Xiaonanziwu said, oh, I got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to make rice balls for us, and now I am catching up on sleep. After Yuanjie heard this, his eyes were slightly soft. These days, Yi Suking intentionally or unintentionally bullied Li Tiansha. In fact, he saw it in his eyes. However, the palms and backs of his hands were full of meat, and he reminded him with a cold face, but he was not able to blame Yi Suking too much. Can only make a shadow doppelganger in place afterwards, and the real body quietly goes to find shallow to comfort her. Fortunately, Li Tiansha's personality was not the kind of crying, making trouble and hanging himself 3 times, otherwise he would have a headache. However, the more sensible Li Tiansha was, the more he felt indebted to the other party. 2 is enough for my headache, I can't find a third, but he was all to blame, and if he had decided to choose one, there would be no follow. Even adults, under the premise of all of them, must bear some suffering. What are you going to do today? Xiaonan and Susu went out, while Li Tiansha was sleeping, and Grandpa didn't know where to run. In the entire palace, only Yuanjie and Yi Suking were left. By the way, there is also Zi Zishuang, ignore her. Yi Suking pondered for a while, and then said, I think you can go and inspect the soldiers stationed on the border and the imperial city today and give them red envelopes. What is a small thing to you is a big life event for them. Seeing that Yuanjie was still hesitating, she hurriedly said, don't you forget, how did the former dynasty die? Yuanjie smiled and kissed her, with you, a company executive. Why worry about Sharingan? Since Yi Suking returned, he gave Yuanjie a lot of constructive advice. It has not only improved the control of 3 provinces and 6 ministries, but also moved the management system of modern enterprises. For example, attendance system, performance system, promotion system and so on. It has also set up a special department of the Imperial Supervision Yuan, which will go to various places every week to conduct surprise inspections. Let the ancient officials, who are accustomed to touching fish, also experience the pain of modern 996. Yi Suking pushed him and scolded with a smile, don't pose with me, it's still good. Chapter 246. Now it is a cold winter, and on the wall of Sharingan City, dozens of soldiers are patrolling intently in the heavy snow. Their faces were red, covered with frost, and occasionally rubbed their hands cold. Suddenly, a warm wind blew the chill away, and they shook the snowflakes on their eyelashes and looked blankly into the air. There were 3 people in the air, 1 male and 2 female. The man is wearing a lapis gold dragon robe, the woman on the left is a black and gold costume, and there is a woman in white behind him. The sharp-eyed soldier immediately recognized it, and quickly knelt down to ask for peace. Xiamen, see your majesty. Yuanjie smiled slightly and lifted them up. There is no need to be polite, you can still insist on guard in the imperial city on the day of reunion, it is hard. Yuanjie walked up, took the red envelopes from Yi Suking, and sent them one by one. It contained special banknotes, each red envelope worth 100 gold spirit coins. Some soldiers secretly took it apart and were instantly stunned. They knelt down in panic. Your Majesty, this gift is too precious. The soldiers only earn 5 gold spirit coins a month, such a large amount of money, this is the first time they have seen it. How can you make them not nervous? Since I'm here, you can accept it with peace of mind. Even when they saw Emperor Yuan say this, the soldiers were like dreams, and the 6 gods and masters tightly covered the red envelope to their chests. Many people are not on the first day of the army, but this is the first time they have encountered this kind of thing. Others may not believe it. After the 3 of Yuanjie left, they knelt towards the east and shouted in unison. Thank you Lord Longjin. Yuanjie sighed in the void when he heard the deafening sound outside. Sometimes, ordinary people are easily satisfied. For example, it is said that eating a meal of ribs after the age is old. For example, it is to get the affirmation of the people around you. For example, if you open your eyes early in the morning and see the first smile of your lover. As Yi Suking said, maybe for him, it is just a small thing within his reach, but for the soldiers, it is an unforgettable experience. What Yuanjie did at this time had never been done in previous feudal dynasties. The emperor personally sent me red envelopes on the first day of the new year, thanking me for my hard work. This scene is also playing out in the various borders of Tianyuan. Yuanjie did not bring Huang Fuqiu over to video this time, which is a bit of a showmanship. It took a morning to finally finish condolences to all the soldiers who stayed on duty for the new year. As soon as Li Tiansha got up, she saw Yuanjie and Yi Suking walking in together, and she quickly hid to the side. This is what Yu Menghan taught her, let her avoid it, and the lower she puts her posture, the more he will feel sorry for you. Simple Li Tiansha didn't understand this practice, she just felt very uncomfortable, but the person she liked couldn't meet in front of her. She missed the taste of that lip flap, sweet, she loved it. On the other side, the territory of the Jingchang royal family. What, you said that Yu Menghan had dinner with Emperor Yuan last night, or a family banquet? Wang Badian's face was gloomy, and he looked at Wang Qing, who was reading on the side, and suddenly hated that iron was not steel. Old ancestor, what's wrong? Wang Badian snatched a book in her hand and said angrily, you still have time to read here, right? In the heart of the Wang family, The noble concubine of the Yuan family must have the position of Wang Qing. Even if she is an empress, it is not impossible. Wang Qing was the first woman to meet Emperor Yuan besides Li Tiansha. Love pays attention to first come, first come, first come, first come, first come, first come. As long as Wang Qing takes the initiative a little, as long as Emperor Yuan is not hard-hearted, the two will become a good fate. But now, he was given the first step by a Yu Menghen who came half a year late. The sooner you marry Emperor Yuan's concubine, the higher your status will be in the future. Wang Badian watched the Yu family and the Huangfu family like the sky, only the Wang family was standing still, watching the brothers make money fiercely, which was more uncomfortable than killing him. Wang Badian looked down on the Huangfu family very much. Didn't Huangfu Gangai and lick it? As for the Yu family, he was even more dismissive. He is now worried that if the Yuan emperor supports another family, such as the Li family or the Zhao family, which once had a relationship, then the position of the three major families of the Wang family will not be guaranteed. Why don't you go to Sharingan? Wang Qing was stunned. Why am I going to Sharingan? You are a woman. If you don't take the initiative, you deserve to be single for a lifetime. Wang Qing smiled angrily. This said, she is the proud daughter of one of the three major families, licking dogs countless times. Will she still have no man to want? Back in the boudoir, she stared at the phone on her desk in a daze. After hesitating for a long time, she plucked up the courage to dial the man's phone. Xiaoji, your phone rang. I don't have time, you go help pick it up. Good. Yi Suking picked up the phone and saw that it was a number without notes, so she pressed the answer button. Hey, hello. Wang Qing was stunned. How was it a woman's voice? She reconfirmed whether she had made a mistake. That's right, it's Brother Ji's number. How is it possible? People are the king of a country. Who has the guts to steal his mobile phone? Yi Suking saw that the other side did not reply for a long time, and then asked again, hello, are you there? Wang Qing exhaled deeply, and asked in a calm tone, hello, is Brother Ji there? It seems that the relationship between this woman and Yuanjie is definitely not ordinary, but he did not note the other party's information, indicating that it was just a deliberate and ruthless flower. Yi Suking figured it out in a moment. Xiaoji is not here. Are you looking for him? No, I just want to say a happy new year to him. Okay, I'll tell him for you. Thank you, Yi Suking replied very politely. She won't be jealous of every woman who comes to entangle Yuanjie. She knows him. Ordinary people can't pry his heart. Even in her previous life, she herself spent a lot of effort to make him fall in love with her. Then, Wang Qing hung up the phone in dismay. She thought that the opposite side was Yu Menghen's phone, because the voice was very gentle, and Yuanjie's voice were very close. She heard outside the door, Lao Zhu was loudly reprimanding her parents and goddaughter Wu Fang, and she covered her ears irritably. Don't push me anymore, don't push me anymore, don't push me anymore. Do you think I don't want to? But what can I do? Wang Qing said to herself with tears. Sometimes she really can't understand why Yuanjie would rather like a woman with a garbage physique than be attracted to her. Whether it is figure, appearance, talent, family lineage, etc., where is he worse than her? Where is she not comparable to her? She lost to Yu Menghen, and she was not convinced. Why are others born with SSS-level physique? And now, the entire Wang family is pinning their hopes on her, trying to rely on her to realize the dream of the Wang family alone. Whether it was Lao Zhu, her parents, or even her third aunt and sixth mother-in-law, they chanted in her ear all day. She is annoyed, only she knows, and it is difficult to reach the sky if she wants to complete it. Until she cried red eyes and raised her head, only a little covered in hair, and the muscles in her face trembled. Yuanjie, I must get you. Chapter 247. On the second day of junior high school, Yuanjie visited the Manchu dynasty Wen Wu who lived in Sharingan one by one. Because of the move of the capital, many ministers were placed outside the Byakugan imperial palace, and there was a villa area. Most of the officials who continued to be officials in the former dynasty had some assets, so they bought a piece of land in Sharingan and built a mansion. Marshal Li was about to go out, but found that Emperor Yuan had come with Yi Suking, and he hurriedly went back to change his clothes. Ouch, Emperor Yuan is coming, and Pengxing is shining. Yuanjie looked at him dressed in home clothes, and his face was strange. Wasn't the marshal about to go out just now? Marshal Li said nonsense with his eyes open. Going out? Where to? The old minister is not familiar with life, and can only be at home. Yuanjie didn't expose him, he came here just to visit, and by the way, he sent a big red envelope. Marshal Li welcomed him into the mansion and secretly said to his subordinates, "Inform the generals to bring good guys over." Yuanjie sat down to drink tea in the main seat of the living room, while Yasuking stood quietly behind him. Marshal Li had seen the woman, but the identities of the two were not clear. "This is, my love, Yasuking, I blanch." These words frightened Marshal Li, and he quickly asked his subordinates to move a luxurious chair. Where would the future queen stand? He wanted to slap himself. Yasuking smiled uncaringly, and sat down generously. "Old Li, what's the matter with shouting over? Is it itchy hands and want to play 18 models? What is 18 molds? Can I play together?" When Flying Tiger General Li Changzi heard this voice, he immediately knelt down in fright. Yuan, Emperor Yuan, who would have thought that on the second day of the Lunar New Year, the Emperor would appear in the minister's house? Yuanjie smiled faintly. He helped the Flying Tiger General up, and stuffed a big red envelope to him. "By the way, Happy New Year," General Flying Tiger cried. Indeed, he was so happy. Later, a group of generals walked in with national curses, and when they saw Yuanjie, they were also frightened. Marshal Li called the lieutenant general to come over, in order to reduce the burden on the Yuan Emperor, and by the way, he prepared barbecue, good wine and good food. Yasuking saw that a group of big men were having so much fun. She left with understanding, and went to the marshal's wife to exchange female red. "Come, Emperor Yuan, a cup of honor. Since you took office, it's been so exciting." Indeed. Emperor Yuan's achievements were unmatched, not only resisting the invasion of the southern spirit beast tide, but also recovering the eastern and western islands and the Yangzhou region. If I want to say, Emperor Yuan went to beat the little eagle some time ago, and the other party does not dare to speak loudly now, this is really a relief. Yuanjie did not carry a shelf, he rolled up his sleeves and grilled skewers with the generals and drank wine. After taking a bite of the tender and juicy fat cow, he said, "In the future, we Sharingan will have to conquer more places, and we need everyone to contribute when the time comes." When Marshal Li and the others heard this, their eyes lit up. What are the duties of a military man? Protect your home and defend your country. No. In fact, that is to open up the territory. Most of them were left over from the previous dynasty, and the previous dynasty's style of swallowing anger made them very unhappy. I have to say that Yuanjie's resolute behavior after taking office is really too much in line with the hearts of the public. General Flying Tiger touched his head and asked in a low voice, "Emperor Yuan, can you reveal it, which one to get first?" Yuanjie smiled mysteriously, "Whoever jumps the most, I will hit first." "Good. If there is a king's order, it is duty-bound." "It's obliging." All the generals stood up and toasted the Yuan Emperor. Yuanjie, too, got up to pay respect, took a sullen breath, and then vigorously smashed the bowl. When the generals saw it, they also dropped the bowl. This way of drinking, the comfort of Zhangnuang. It's a bit of a drain. Coming out of the marshal's mansion, Yuanjie visited the mansions of other important ministers above the first rank of the dynasty one by one. The whole Sharingan is full of joy. After half a year of construction, Sharingan has begun to show its scale, and the completion degree has reached 70%, which must be thanks to the hard work of the Yu family, especially Yu Menghan. Finally, Yuanjie came to the territory of the three major families. In this area, even less than 1,000th of the Jingchang royal family, it gathered important figures from the three major families. Except for the Wang family, they went back to Jingcheng. Yuanjie did not stay long in the Wang family before coming to the Huangfu house. For the sake of the townhouse, the Huangfu family also moved the coffins of the three ancestors. Once bitten by a snake, 10 years afraid of the well rope. How can you go out without a coffin? As soon as Yuanjie entered the door, he found an unusual aura. The Huangfu family saw him silently walking towards the spirit hall, and their faces turned a little pale. If Emperor Yuan knew that their family planted such a big-time bomb in the imperial city, it would definitely be dead. When Yuanjie just wanted to ask why there were three coffins here, the coffin board turned up. "Who disturbs my dreams?" There was a scolding from inside. "It's over." Everyone in the Huangfu family looked sad. As soon as these words came out, Yuanjie was shocked. "Yo, still alive?" He just saw through the white eyes that there were bones lying inside, but he didn't expect that it was still alive. He looked back at everyone in the Huangfu family with a strange face. Huangfu and Ran wiped his cold sweat and said, "Emperor Yuan is not afraid. This is the ancestor of our Huangfu family. Yuanjie narrowed his eyes and asked, then why did you move here? How? Want to blow up Sharingan? Boy, what a big breath. The bronze coffin board immediately flew up, and a pair of skin and bones crawled out of it. Yi Suking drew his staff from the void and prepared an attack stance. Yuanjie stretched out his hand to stop her. He thought that the previous Huangfu family seemed to be the 12 guardian god family, and he wanted to know, what is the relationship with the current Huangfu family? Emperor Fu Ai got up and saw Yuanjie's purple eyes at first glance. Eyes, these uncomfortable eyes again. Thinking of this, he grabbed it with a bone claw. Huangfu Anren hurriedly blocked between the two, her chest covered in blood. Shizu, don't be impulsive, this is my Emperor Yuan, don't do it, never. After that, she fainted. The second ancestor frowned. Emperor Yuan? Why is the special lady's surname Yuan again? It won't be impersonating the Yuan family, right? He slapped Huangfu and ran into the air and continued to grab it with one claw. Yuanjie instantly opened the absolute defense of Seeking Dao Jade, and Yi Suking set up a bone shield in front of the two, which was able to block this blow. Huh? The second ancestor was stunned. He was a big man of the celestial phenomenon realm, and he couldn't break the defense of the little great evening realm with one blow. Seeing that the defense of Seeking Dao Jade was broken, the next move was about to strike. Yuanjie shouted, Grandpa! Boom! A piercing heavenly holy light, rushing down from 9 heavens away. A chilling breath spread. The smoke cleared, and I saw a 5-year-old boy calmly grabbing the bone hand of the second ancestor of Huangfu. Huangfu Hongfei, I didn't expect that after more than 100,000 years, your kid is still alive. You made the old man easy to find, so he hid here? When Emperor Fu Ai saw those green eyes, he was shocked. I'm blanching, big brother. Chapter 248. When the two old people met late, no one would have thought that they would meet again after more than 100,000 years. Big brother. I didn't expect that you would still be a teenager when you returned, and Huangfu Hongfei looked at his skinny appearance, and then looked at Yuanshan, and couldn't help but sigh with emotion. At this time, 2 coffins behind them were unveiled at the same time. What? Big brother is back? Emperor Fu first ancestor. After hearing the noise outside, the third ancestor quickly climbed out to confirm. Big brother, 3 old men, who were about to die, crouched down and hugged a 5-year-old child and wept. They used to be companions who played from childhood to adulthood, squatting together in the bathhouse and going to the green building. In those days, it was a top boy group in Jiangcheng that everyone loved and saw flowers blooming. But now, no matter how beautiful flowers are, they will soon wither away. Dead death, old and old, crippled, embarrassing. The surrounding members of the Huangfu family, as well as Yuanjie and Yi Suking, looked at each other one by one, not knowing what to say. Big brother, how did you become so small? What about your great posture back then? Yuanshan sighed. Alice, it's hard to say a word. Originally, he was concerned about brotherly love, so he only hit the masters of the Huangfu family hard, and did not kill them all. Huangfu Hongfei, they understand, they will have so much respect for this big brother. If it happens to them, and the family members of their relatives and friends kill them, they may not be able to be so magnanimous and leave each other with a dog's life. Therefore, Yuanshan has them in his heart, and so do they. Unexpectedly, more than 100,000 years have passed, and the Huangfu family, which has survived to this day, has once again become the dogleg of his grandson, just like back then. Although the process is not so glamorous, it does not matter anymore. I can only say that it is a matter of creating people. Big brother, your current appearance, the younger brother is very envious. Unlike us, people do not die or die. The corners of Yuanshan's mouth tugged, and he said speechlessly, or not, are you dead now? Let my grandson regenerate your filthy soil? Emperor Fu 123 ancestor, forget it, even if the wind and candle are still old now, but after all, they are still alive, right? Who can guarantee that there will be no day of rejuvenation? As long as the laws of the heavenly Dao are repaired, their cultivation can be slowly restored, and at that time, even if they can't become the young man who was in the mood at the beginning, at least they won't look like this ghost now, right? Well, the misunderstanding is resolved. Originally, Yuanjie thought that the 3 coffins of the Huangfu family were enemies, but he didn't expect them to be friendly troops. Listening to his grandfather's transmission, it seemed that these 3 ancestors were his younger brothers when he was young. Everyone no longer stayed here, leaving space for the four old brothers to reminisce. Huangfu and Ran was seriously injured just now in order to block a blow from Shizu for Yuanjie, and he has already been carried down. Yuanjie put down the 10 bottles of the recovery potion sent by the system's daily gift pack. When the people of the Huangfu clan saw it, the emperor gave the medicine and quickly knelt down to thank them. I have to say that the recovery potion produced by the system is indeed 100 times more effective than the healing medicine of this world. Internal consumption can quickly replenish spiritual power, and external application can produce raw meat and dry bones. In fact, Yuanjie has already saved more than 10,000 bottles in the system backpack, and there is no shortage at all. His system backpack hides a lot of good things, but basically can't give them away. The only thing sent out was the 8 doors of Dunjia technique in the original daily lottery, which was given to Li Tiansha. After reading it, the exercises automatically disappeared into her body and left no traces. This is a disposable prop, so it can't be given to others, although Yuanjie really wants to learn the 8 doors of Dunjia for the youth brother Li Qing in this world and let him regain his youthful blood, but unfortunately there is no way. Yuanjie and Yi Suking did not stay long and left from Huangfu's house. He believed that Grandpa could arrange everything. From now on, even if Huangfu Gaogayan is gone, the Huangfu family should still be loyal to themselves. The two came to the door of Yu's house, but they did not expect that Chu Huaxu and Yu Menghan would wait in place early. Little girl, meet Emperor Yuan. Mother and daughter saluted together. Yuanjie smiled lightly. Okay, ordinary etiquette is exempted. I'm here today, not to find fault with you. Yu Menghan was like a woman, and she sideways welcomed the two in. The 32 clansmen of the Yu family who remained in Sharingan gathered in the compound, and after seeing Yuanjie, they knelt down and saluted. Their posture was very low. Yuanjie glanced at it. These 32 members of the Yu family were basically excellent craftsmen who had paid a lot for the construction of Sharingan. He walked up with a smile and handed out red envelopes one by one. Thank you, Lord Long. Yu Huzu welcomed the two into the hall and poured a cup of hot tea for the two of them. I'm interested in easing export restrictions. What do you think? As soon as Yuanjie's words came out, Yu Huaxu was stunned. Seeing that no one answered, Yuanjie continued to talk to himself. Although we Sharingan are in the technology industry, we are currently not comparable to the Flying Eagle country, but we are the first in the world for daily necessities and industrial tools. Yuanjie glanced at Yi Suking, and then said, I plan to let your Yu family go to explore foreign markets. Suking, you have rich experience, or you will help. Yuanjie is planning to find something for Yi Suking to do. Don't stare at Li Tiansha all day. Yu Menghan fell into deep thought. Do you want to cooperate with this woman? Fortunately, cultivate feelings by the way. With this in mind, she gladly accepted the task. Yi Suking looked at Yu Menghan with a smile, and the other party also looked at her with a smile in his eyes, and stretched out his little hand with a sincere expression. Sister Yuanjie, please take more care in the future. Yi Suking's face sank. Which pot does not mention which pot. She said that name. Isn't it in the yin and yang strange relationship between her and him? Her hand was slightly forced, and there was a soft smile on her face. Well said, help each other. Yuanjie looked at the two women facing each other, and couldn't help frowning, but he didn't expect to help Li Tiansha, and another Yu Menghan appeared. However, he didn't have much affection for Yu Menghan, and if the two clashed, he would stand next to Yi Suking without hesitation. The two women were like good sisters, chatting with each other kindly. Menghan, I want you to help me make a set of queen's costumes and wear them at the chicken boarding ceremony when the time comes. Yu Menghan immediately took out several drawings from the space ring, and Yi Suking was stunned. Sister, I have already designed it, you see. Yi Suking took it, and she was instantly amazed by the costume in the painting. The black and gold color of the phoenix crown is dignified and atmospheric, flashy. Beautiful is really beautiful. She felt like she couldn't fault it. Moreover, she personally likes to wear black clothes very much, and this black and gold color scheme is simply tailored for her and painted into her heart. In addition to the dresses worn at major celebrations, that is, imperial costumes, Yu Menghan also designed auspicious costumes for general festivals and weekday court hearings, and even finished clothes worn in daily life. Yu Menghan took her to a small room in the backyard, where 5 sets of black and gold phoenix robes were hung. The moment she turned on the light, Yi Suking felt that her breathing had stopped. Chapter 249. The real thing is 10,000 times more stunning than in the painting, and she used to touch the brocade satin, and she really loved it. Yu Menghun smiled and said, "How is it? Does my sister like it?" Yi Suking said sincerely, "Thank you, I like it very much, you're really so artistic." Sister likes it. Yu Menghun arranged for someone to carefully pack 5 sets of phoenix robes and hand them to her. The phoenix robe is relatively loose and does not need to be tailored, no matter who wears it. Yi Suking took the phoenix robe, and then looked at the other party with a smile. "You won't design other royal costumes, right?" Yu Menghun shook his head and said, "That's not true, I only designed and made dragon robes and phoenix robes, which Emperor Yuan ordered me at that time, Xiaoji." Yi Suking's heart softened a little. He couldn't imagine that he had long planned to make himself an empress, so what else was there to fight for? She silently buried this love in her heart. After Yuanjie and Yi Suking left, Yu Huaxu looked deeply at her daughter. "Mom, you don't have to worry about me, I have my own measure," Yu Menghun said with a flat expression. Yu Huaxu no longer said much. For the matter of being crowned empress, she is not as urgent as the Wang family, as long as her daughter can have her own happiness. Even if her son of destiny is not the Yuan emperor, as long as she has a happy life, the rest of her life is happy, someone loves and loves, then her future as a mother can laugh at Jiquan. After bidding farewell to her mother, Yu Menghun returned to the room. She gently sprinkled the petals, and the wall behind her was instantly covered with pink roses. She pushed lightly, and there was a hole in it. "I saw 5 sets of gold pink phoenix robes hanging in the room." She pursed her lips and walked over, stroking the roses on her dress. "I wish one day, he could put it on for me." Time passed minute by minute, and in the blink of an eye, it was the 6th day of junior high school, and today, ministers returned to the palace one after another. They were preparing for Emperor Yuan's enthronement ceremony. At the same time, many people of different colors came from Sharingan and were uniformly placed in the villa area in the east of the city. The completion of the construction of Sharingan, before it reached 100%, is already amazing. Countless Gentiles look straight in their eyes. Sharingan, it seems to be bigger than Jingcheng. Not only is it big, but the building is very magnificent, and it was built at a great cost. I heard about this imperial city, they have only been building it for 7 months. God, how can this country be so rich? Envy and jealousy. The greetings of foreign envoys are all soldiers with real guns and ammunition, not the kind of beautiful welcome lady. Why be so polite to the Gentiles? Grab the gun directly in your hand and let them be honest. Except for the leaders of the Great Bear Country, the Flying Eagle Country, and the Black Duck Country who are masters of the Great Lake Realm, most of the masters of other small countries or small regions are not high in cultivation, and some are even mortals. They looked at Yuan's well-trained soldiers, carrying spears, kicking and walking forward, and their hearts were a little afraid. Zhengdu, it was brought by Yuanjie from his previous life. Back to your majesty, this is the list of visiting foreign guests. Only the flying eagle of the visiting country is not the head of the country himself, only the messenger is arranged. We sent 350 invitations, and more than 60 regions and small countries did not send people. Among them, Qinggu in the north of Xianyun and Yunnan in the southwest did not arrange for messengers to come over. Yuanjie probably glanced at it, kept the more than 60 small areas that had not been replied to the letter firmly in his heart, and waited until the end of the rooster ceremony to settle the accounts one by one. As for the Flying Eagle Country, Shangshu of the Ministry of Rights, you personally went to find the messenger of the Flying Eagle and let them go back. Eviction. Huh? Shangshu of the Ministry of Etiquette was stunned. Is this really good? How to say that the Flying Eagle Country is also a superpower? Don't question my decision, I'll let you do it, and you'll do it right away. Shangshu of the Ministry of Rights hurriedly bowed his head and retreated. In fact, his heart was very apprehensive. It is said that the Flying Eagle Country arranged 5 alpha-level mutants this time, and it felt that they were not here to celebrate, but to find fault. Yuanjie is funny, just 5 masters of the 9th order of the Great Late Realm? Are you sure you're not coming to deliver the food? After dispersing the dynasty, Yuanjie stopped Marshal Li and General Flying Tiger. You two, go back and gather soldiers first, and then wait for me at the gate of Hanitun Hall at 12. The eyes of the two lit up, and the Yuan Emperor told them to go back and prepare. It seemed that they were about to act. At 12 o'clock, Yuanjie came to the Hanitun Hall on time, followed by Zizishuang. Zizishuang's cultivation has now been suppressed again, and he has lost 2 whole stages, and he only has the strength of the returning to the mortal realm. Return to the mortal realm, the realm of the true realm, the realm of the God King. When Yuanjie saw that 200 generals had actually gathered at the gate of the Rinnegan Hall, he was immediately frozen. Marshal Li touched his head embarrassedly and said, "Emperor Yuan, they have to follow, and I can't help it. Okay, there are more people and a little more magnificent. Let's crush the opposite side from the momentum. These 200 meters of generals, all the cultivation of the Great Late Realm. You can imagine how strong the combat effectiveness of the previous dynasty is, but why don't you dare to make a move against a family alliance with only 28 gods?" Yuanjie opened the passage of time and space, and 200 people walked in an orderly manner. Many generals walked into the passage of time and space for the first time, but they did not expect that such a long-distance teleportation would actually have no discomfort, and in one step, they would reach tens of thousands of miles away. Everyone shouted magic in their hearts. And Marshal Li and General Flying Tiger looked at them like a hillbilly. "Don't be six, calm and calm," the two returned what Emperor Yuan had told them intact. After everyone walked out of the passage of time and space, they were greeted by snowflakes flying in the sky. The howling cold wind blew everyone's faces painfully. "Here it is, Kingu." Marshal Li understood what Emperor Yuan meant, and he couldn't control his tears. Northern Kingu, which became independent 700 years ago, has been sitting idly by and watching over the years. The area of Kingu is much larger than Yingzhou, even as large as 5 Sharingan, and the most important thing is that Kingu is very rich in mineral resources, and the strategic location is extremely important, located at the junction of the Great Bear Country and Sharingan, which is a natural barrier. Kingu is sparsely populated and fertile, and was originally the granary of the north. Since independence, the people of the north have often had no meals, and famine has caused immeasurable loss of people. Over the years, Kingu has made a lot of money by selling minerals, and with the support of the Flying Eagle country, the people here have a rich life, causing many northern people to migrate over. As a result, the former dynasty lost a lot of its population labor. Even so, Xiang Maofang still turned a blind eye and did nothing. And today, the Yuan emperor made a move, and they seem to see the hope of Kingu's return. Where does Abinito live? Let's go take a sip of hot tea. It's right to drink tea. Last time I went to Wenzhou, Emperor Yuan also said to drink tea. This is a code word. Marshal Li and General Flying Tiger looked at each other. "Emperor Yuan, please follow me." A general took the initiative to ask for help. His hometown is in the north, and he is very familiar with Kingu. "We're just going to have tea. Don't mess around, Emperor Yuan. What if the tea is cold? Then the people, you can go." Chapter 250. Mighty, more than 200 people flew into the main city of Kingu, and many people looked up, only to see a black oppression. How can there be birds at this time? What kind of bird? Is that human? Can people fly? It's really long hair and short insight, and when the mutant reaches the alpha level, he can go to heaven and earth. Kingu was almost assimilated by the Flying Eagle in the past 700 years, and he learned the culture of the Flying Eagle country from childhood to adulthood. Most of the communication between the peoples in Yingwen, not Xia language. 700 years, not long, not short, can really change many people and things. And all this was single-handedly promoted by Abonduo. He did not start his own business at all, but left his mother's arms and ran to lick another person. If we say that Li Wenying of Wenzhou came out to start a business in order to satisfy his own selfish interests and experience the pleasure of being above 10,000 people, Kingu Abonduo completely took the people of the entire region hostage and recognized the thief as his father. Yuanjie didn't know what Abonduo was doing at all. A good son is not right, he has to be a grandson. Bang! The landing of more than 200 Sharingan Late Realm shook the entire main city 3 times. The people in the Kingu Imperial Mansion felt it especially obviously. Fark, who the hell is it? Dare to intrude into the Imperial Palace. Snap! A general slapped the man away, and his head turned directly a few times. Yuanjie sneered, "Imperial Mansion? I think it's a kennel. One does not stay. Kill all the traitors." The generals ordered. Yes, they took out their weapons one after another, and their eyes were hot. They had waited for this day for a long time, and finally at this moment, they burned what was hidden in their bloodlines. Today, the temperature in Kingu is -10 degrees, but it is difficult to cool the blood. The main city of Kingu quickly gathered a large number of soldiers and shot at the more than 200 soldiers outside the Kingu Imperial Mansion. However, when the bullet flew within 10 meters of everyone, it stopped in midair. Huh? I never expected that the bullet would actually bounce back in their direction. And even more powerful. In general, a bullet fired from the rifle chamber, at such a distance, can penetrate a maximum of 3 or 4 people. But the bullet that bounced back could pierce a dozen people through the chest. Is this reasonable? Is this scientific? What the hell is this technique? Fact, it's actually a mutant. Hurry up and call the soldiers to come to support. The soldier is a mutant who remained in Kingu in the Flying Eagle country, and he belongs to the top combat power. More than 200 generals scattered and opened a killing spree in the Kingu Imperial Mansion. It's really about cutting people at sight, no matter what age you are or what your status is. Treat traitors, as it should be. It must be killed. The people of Abaneto's clan, strictly speaking, are no longer Cheyenne people, although they have the same bloodline flowing in their bodies as everyone. Their souls have long been betrayed to the Flying Eagle country. The screams were heard one after another. A Kingu Imperial Mansion in Haotuan, originally a place that everyone yearned for, has now become a purgatory on Earth. Abonduo was originally on a lunch break, but was woken up by an urgent call. Fact, do you know what you're doing? Oh my god, my lord, why do you still have the mind to sleep? The enemies are all in. Enemies? Where are the enemies? Abonduo was dressed unhurriedly. The temperature today was very cold, and he wore 6 layers. Suddenly, a bloody arrow slapped the window glass of his room, frightening his fat face white. A bloodless head slowly rolled into his room, staring at him with wide eyes. Ninji, Abonduo recognized the head, which belonged to his son Ninji. Yay, he drew his big knife, pushed away his subordinates and rushed out directly. However, when he saw the 1,000-meter golden giant in front of him, his fat trembled, and he shrunk back to the room without a trace, closing the door. The carnage lasted for an hour, and almost every general was killed. Hurry! Lao Tzu has been in the army for many years, and it is the first time he kills so hard. A bloodied general looks up to the sky and roars. Faxquid, the soldier stationed in Kingu reluctantly crawled out of the women's den, and someone spoiled him for good. On his back, a pair of huge white wings grew and flew towards the Kingu Imperial Mansion. Warren flew into the air and saw a golden giant in the distance. He froze and quickly flew away outside the city. Lord Angel, it's not this side, it's that direction. Warren didn't seem to hear it, and his head slipped without looking back. He was originally sent to Kingu to mess around, and he didn't think about working for his life. Are you kidding? Kingu is not the territory of my Flying Eagle country. Even if it is, it's a matter of my. The heavens and the earth are big, and Lao Tzu's life is the greatest. In this way, the people who Kingu came to summon the soldiers, he was stupid. He never expected that the soldiers who have always eaten and drunk well, and even the beautiful hostesses, would abandon them at a time of crisis. Is this what the Flying Eagle man really is? His heart was half cold. When he returned to his life, the leader asked him, what about the soldiers? Ran, what? Ran away? Are you cheating on 3-year-olds? He said with a sad face, I really ran away. I don't believe you checked the surveillance. The leader froze and looked desperate. Now, the strongest soldier in the city has treacherously left a group of mortals behind. How can he fight more than 200 mutants? Damn, where the hell did this group of people come from? Why do you want to be so cruel to Kingu? Abonduo shivered and hid in the closet, which was very large and could hold his 300 pounds. Yuanjie arranged for the general to solve the group of obstructing soldiers outside, and then he opened his eyes and scanned a wave. When he saw a certain figure, the corners of his mouth smiled without a trace. Abonduo held his breath, his body hugged, and his eyes were as big as copper bells. At this moment, the door was violently kicked open, and his heart trembled. The sound of shoes rubbing against a bluestone slab was like a demon ringing a bell. Suddenly, the footsteps stopped, and he saw a figure stop outside the closet. In the dark space, only the gasping sound of Abonduo was left, and he did not dare to gasp too loudly, for fear of being discovered by the other party. His teeth couldn't stop colliding up and down, and a yellow color quietly flowed out from underneath. His whole heart went to his throat. Through the crack in the door, he saw the dark shadow leave, the footsteps drifting away, and he heard the door closing. He breathed a long sigh of relief, and wiped the cold sweat on his forehead with a trembling right hand. His heart was beating so fast just now that he felt like he was about to suffocate. Suddenly, the wardrobe door was slammed open, and the other party screamed first, and Abonduo also screamed. Yuanjie looked at him for a while, looked down, broken, really scared people to pee. The wardrobe was blown open, plopped, and Abonduo fell to the ground. No, don't kill me. Don't kill me. Don't kill me. Abonduo blanched and kept shaking his head and muttering. Yuanjie approached step by step. In the eyes of the other party, what kind of angelic handsome face was there? This is the devil, he is Satan who has come to ask for his life. Don't kill. Abonduo's eyes widened, and he suddenly didn't mention it in one breath, and he was screaming for his life, and he was scared to death. Yuanjie is speechless. The dead fat man has a small heart, so he can't help but be scared? It's really a bitch. Have the courage to start your own business, but not the courage to face reality. There is a saying, it is not as good as Ying's Hao Li Wenying. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.